Headline Brief starts now.
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. What's up, Mitchell Meach Manley? How's it going, man?
What's going on, Matt? I'm doing great. How are you? Happy Friday.
I know. I'm so glad it's Friday. It was a long week. It was a crazy week, bro.
It has been one heck of a week, that is for sure. I'm happy it's the weekend. Hopefully we can relax a little bit after this.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take advantage of the Sabbath this Sunday, and rest for sure. Getting used to this new setup, too, that my brother-in-law helped build. So,
yeah, dude, that place looks sick.
Yeah, that's why we ended up taking yesterday off, and it took all day. So, that's my brother-in-law is amazing. So shout out to brother-in-law, which I don't know if he wants me to say his name ever. So we'll find out. But all right, you guys, do me a favor and hit the like. I was about to say if you're watching from each, but I know that channel's not streaming it live. If you can, do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe. It is the best way to help support this channel. And I appreciate it every time that you do.
If you're watching on X, throw a retweet out.
That's right.
Let's get this out on X.
There you go. Yeah, retweet on X for us, you guys. All right. So, okay. As we were preparing for the show, I don't know what happened, but we said a prayer before we started and that everything's okay with Matthew Tucciarone. He will not be making it tonight. I don't have a whole lot. I just know that he's not going to be making it tonight. So hopefully he's doing okay, and say a prayer for him. We all did. And yeah, we're going to continue in doing what we were going to do anyway. It'll just be with one less person. So yeah, and I'll update you guys later. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. So hopefully he's okay. And all right. So for you and me, man, we were talking about a lot in preparation for the show. We got a lot to look at regarding, Israel, Charlie Kirk, which I do think it was the single biggest thing that he was dealing with in the end, that led to the pressure that he was getting from his donors, him pushing back on the donors, and then most likely what probably was one of the main, if not the main reasons why they took him out, So to start, let's look at here. Wait. Yeah, we can look at the tweets first, or the text messages you want to look at.
Yeah, we can start there. I think those text messages that got released recently are some of the most confirming evidence that we have that Charlie's mind was pretty made up on, kind of the Jewish issue, so to speak, the Jewish lobby, the Israel lobby. There's been kind of a back and forth. Was he not? Was his mind fully made up? Was it not? And in some of those text messages that were released last night, I think it's pretty indicative that Charlie's mind was pretty made up, at least privately. I don't think he had the opportunity to fully disclose it yet, but I also think that that's part of the explanation behind the, kind of Fed slop PR campaign that we've all been sitting through for the last 9 months. So.
Yeah, so I didn't even get to finish Candace Owens' show yesterday. So she released it yesterday?
I believe so. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I've just been picking up what I have been on Twitter, but I have seen these new text messages from Charlie in which, he says some pretty damning things and tells certain groups of people to go to hell, and he says it flat out. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I also think that kind of just the developments of this week have been rather interesting in contrast when you kind of look at them in parallel to the clips that we unearthed previously on the previous two streams, and also some things that we'll look into here in a minute as well, relating to Elon Musk's handling of this issue, quote unquote anti-Semitism, if you want to call it that. I think that's again a sloppy label to use in this instance, as Charlie has even indicated in the past, as far back as 2023. But yeah, it's an interesting time, I think, for us to, again, pause and reflect and just kind of look at where the cards lay right now, because a lot of the evidence, despite what the Fed slot pushers want you to think, a lot of the evidence indicates a pretty massive deep state cover-up to silence one of the, loudest voices in America that was, in my opinion, and in the public's opinion now, I think should be about to separate entirely from the Israel lobby, from cultural Jews, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I think it's interesting. I didn't see the clip before of, and which we'll look at. I don't want to get ahead of myself of Elon Musk, but it's pretty crazy how much Charlie defended him, and then to see the lack of him defending Charlie for the same issue, and that being what looks to have been, I think, one of the main contributors to his assassination. In my opinion, I do that. I don't believe any crazy leftist was the sole, a brain, of this, and that they cooked this up because of some trans liberal gay, bent they had against Charlie Kirk. And furthermore, Charlie was not even concerned about those individuals. That was like a Tuesday for him,
And we dealt with that regularly. We had instances where people would throw water on us and we weren't sure if it was acid. And, attacks from leftists were pretty par for the course. And that, I think, was something that was almost expected with the territory we were walking into every day. And so I think that for them to try and convince the American public that this leftist boogeyman is the imminent threat to our republic, when, again, 2 to 3 months before his death, Charlie laid it out pretty plainly that it's the deep state, the intelligence agencies. And coupled with that, now we kind of see the direction those intelligence agencies, as well as our military, are beginning to lean. I think it's rather concerning, and it's kind of an explanation why they would want to silence a voice as loud and as large and as powerful as Charlie Kirk's. And some of the things we'll get into tonight, the articles that were written back in 2023 when this issue kind of first came to light, indicates some of the treatment, I think, that we've seen in the last 9 months in regards to Charlie's friends, such as Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and even Thomas Massey. And I think when we pull this article up and you think about what we've been through in the last 10 months, you'll kind of see why Matt and I are saying the things that we are right now, because it's clear as day, at least to me.
Yeah, I agree. And if the wars get planned way in advance, and they get planned so far up that, to think that you could stop it, right? Like someone way down the totem pole is very naive. Right. And if the natural evolution of this war was going to be then as well, passing this in, what is it, the NDAA, right, where they're wanting to merge us with Israel. Could you imagine what Charlie would be saying right now if he was alive while they tried to pass this bill right now, or this act?
Well, and not only that, but could you imagine if the entire force that is Turning Point USA and all of its hired mouthpieces were also standing on the side of the average American and the side of freedom and liberty and America first, instead of this kind of quasi domestic allyship that none of us voted for with a country that's actively committing a genocide as well, right? It's quite frankly historic what's happening. I mean, and the fact that it's passed the House now is just shocking to me, right? And I just like to think, yes, if Charlie was alive, for sure, the impact would be great. But also, all of his friends who he fought this culture war with are still alive, and none of them are engaging in the same way that he himself would, I think, in this kind of time in our nation's history. And that, to me, is more interesting, right? These people claim to be carrying on Charlie's legacy, but in my opinion, I think they're doing the exact opposite. They're propping up this new establishment, this new American regime that's evolving out of the failed kind of 40 years of American democracy that we've seen, that's got us into these endless quagmires that we're now caught in another one, right? But I think they're using the chaos there, coupled with the chaos from Charlie, to reshape this country in ways that none of us have given our consent to, truly. And again, none of us voted for this. This is the exact opposite. We voted for small government, not massive government overreach and surveillance at the behest of Israel. So yeah, it's interesting to reflect and think, not only how would the country look right now if Charlie was alive, but how would the country look if his friends that are still employed by the company that he created, if they were acting in the way that he would and the way that they all used to before he passed. I think that's just really interesting as well.
I think that's such a good point. I think a lot of us, because I could speak for myself, and I know you feel the same way, we're focused on what happened to Charlie and what they did to Charlie and why they did it to Charlie. But what I've until you said it, I was like, well, actually, that's such a good point. So they didn't just silence Charlie. They and I guess we knew this. I knew this, but I thought about it differently right now. But no, they completely took the entire thing. So that's everyone there, everyone that used to go on their own little shows, whether that be, what is the one, Thought Crime, or what is it, what is the one that Jack has, Human
Events Live.
Yeah, Human Events Live. All the different people that are, little like satellites of TPUSA would echo from Charlie what he was doing. Like, they didn't just take the loudest voice away, they took the biggest and most influential organization away. And they did it at a time that it was posed to become even bigger. I know that it became huge I think in the wrong way after his death. But he was still going to be on track to do more. He has that journal that he has plans till 2030, maybe more. Can you imagine what those plans were going to entail with him at the helm? And yeah, we didn't just lose Charlie Kirk and his amazing voice. We lost all the people that when he was leading the way, they echoed his sentiment. And now with him gone, you can see that they were little yes men. They were little doing what they had to do for the moment, because now he's gone and they're not doing any of that. They're doing the complete opposite, actually, which is insane.
I call them like bureaucrats almost, right? I mean, it's the perfect bureaucrat system. And part of why I left the company when I did in 2023, because I felt that bureaucratic kind of system taking shape, right? But the more interesting thing to me is yeah, you're right, these people have all essentially fallen in line behind the administration. And this is, again, a group of people, whether it's Dan Bongino, who again made his way into the FBI, or Kash Patel, or Graham Allen, or Benny Johnson, or Jack Slapsobic, or any of these people, right, who have now revealed their hand as beholden to the state, to the administration, to the establishment. They all built their careers on challenging the narrative, on, quote unquote, fighting the government, standing up to the state. And now they are practically overnight telling you to no, actually trust the government. The government is right. The evidence is there. And it's just so night and day. Again, that's part of my motivation here, because again, they wanted us to pick up the mic. Okay, I'm doing that. I just don't think you're too fond of the things I'm saying, because again, it doesn't support the state. It doesn't support the administration. Well, Charlie Kirk himself told us to never stop asking questions, because that's the biggest threat you can be to an illegitimate regime. And I think that's kind of where we find ourselves right now. And so it is just very interesting to pause and reflect not only on the absence of Charlie, but on the complete shift in what I call the Turning Point USA or conservative ecosystem, right? Which is aligned with Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, and that's why I'm saying the things I am online, which I think that, there was very much a motivation for Ben Shapiro to silence Charlie Kirk forever and not have him say the things he was saying a day or two before his death, or even 2 years before his death. Right. Because we see the way that Ben Shapiro's acting. I mean, just look at what Tim Pool put out today. He said Israel and Ukraine, have done no wrong, and we should back them fully. I'm like, are you kidding me, sir? Insane. We are Americans first. We are not, the world's policemen. And Charlie Kirk was one of the first people to say that publicly and get support for it, right? And so it makes me ask the bigger question of, to what degree was the MAGA movement a massive psyop? How many people, such as myself, such as yourself, such as Tucker Carlson, truly believed in MAGA, such as Charlie Kirk, obviously, but then those around him who profited off him, such as Tyler Bowyer, such as Jack Posobiec, such as Benny Johnson. Do these people actually believe the things that they're selling? I don't think so, because again, it comes down to the hour of crisis, and we are in that hour of crisis, in my opinion. And all of these people practically across the board, even Viva Frey at Rumble, are all feeding you the same Fed slop, anti-American, trust the state narrative. Well, that is indicative of something much darker that's coming. And if we don't all kind of wake up and start talking about that, it's going to be too late once it's already here. And that's, again, kind of my motivation. I care very much about the trial, yes, but I again want to talk about what they are doing in the background, kind of with this trial and behind the scenes,
Yeah, I got Matt. What up, dude?
What's up, guys?
All right. Hey, technical difficulties aside.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
It's been quite the day, guys. It's been quite the week.
I know. That's what we were saying when we started too. But
yeah, it's technical difficulties and just some things on X.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good to see everybody.
Good to see you too. Yeah. We were, opening up the show, kind of looking back at what Meech and I had discussed last time with the biggest issue that Charlie was facing at the end of his life. which is this Israel issue, right? And that the donors and the pressure from certain specific individuals like Tyler Bowyer and others and Andrew Kolvet controlling him, and Ben Shapiro, and how all of them are rewriting the story now. And I agree with you, Meech. Like, were they ever true America First, MAGA, or were they doing that to, because Charlie was a true believer.
Well, and we saw that clip of Tyler Bowyer where he said that Charlie was someone he could, quote, hitch his wagon to. Right. And so the degree to which these people are now acting completely opposite to not only Charlie Kirk, but the way in which they themselves acted and operated for the last 4 or more years, to me is what's most indicative and makes me ask that question of, did you actually ever believe this? Were you actually ever in this game for the right reasons? And again, I think their actions most recently across the board kind of show that they don't actually love America. They don't love justice. They don't love freedom. They're bootlickers, and they would happily kind of sell out their fellow citizen or lie to them to preserve their own interests. And those are not people that we should take seriously, especially in times like these when we've seen what they're willing to do to Charlie. And it is kind of a scary thing to think about, but also these types of people who make millions of dollars by spreading false narratives, half of whom are federal agents, are not people that we should be looking to as leaders, whether spiritual or political. And again, I've said it before, but I think a lot of these people are demons manifest using politics to wage a spiritual war on millions of good-hearted, patriotic Christians who aren't, kind of aware of the realities of that. So.
Yeah, if he's still having technical difficulty. Okay, he had to hop out and hop back in.
We'll just keep going until he gets in here.
Yeah. All right. Are you good, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, dude. Sorry.
It's okay. Do you think
I just moved.
Yes.
So I thought I would have everything really set up tonight, ready to go and everything, but
if it keeps doing that, you can hop on the next one, dude. So it doesn't pop in and out. If it keeps popping you in and out and you're having issues, I don't want you to keep trying and it keep messing with it and stuff.
No, we're good. For some reason, I wasn't logged into my StreamYard account. And then when I chose log in, it booted me off.
Oh, gotcha.
So sorry. And now I'm streaming to my YouTube channel as well. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get into the first thing that we're going to show. We were going to bring up those text messages that Candace just released yesterday, which I missed because I didn't get to finish her show yesterday. We were fixing the studio. All right, so here they are, right? And so Charlie Kirk, and it says, I'm genuinely wait, so he's in the blue then, right? Or is he in?
No, I think he's white because I think this is Candace. This is from her side.
Oh,
so
true.
He would be white, yeah.
All right, so he posted this, which is his own tweet, right? And it says, I'm genuinely confused why asking questions and quoting Bible verses about peace warrants a call to resign from the Daily Wire. There should be more room in the conservative movement for disagreement. We can do better than this. And then Charlie saying, don't resign. It's what they want. She says, I won't. I know. And then Charlie says, Jeremy 100% workshopped this. That's Jeremy Boring. And then below that, it says, this is not Ben acting alone. This is a hit. And Candace says, I believe it. I believe that 100%. Also, they are idiots. What year was this? 23?
I don't know. I would imagine it was around that time.
What do you
I think she said last night it was 23.
Okay,
this was in 23.
Right.
She said a year and a half before his death.
Because they would, a lot of the people that are the revisionists would have you believe that Candace and Charlie had a falling out long ago. Remember what's that guy's name that
2019? They're trying to say it went back to 2019 and all this crap. Yeah, no.
What's that guy's name that went on PBD right after and said that Candace hadn't been around in years and that he wasn't friends. He actually has a show on the Charlie Kirk show. I forget his name. He had to go back and he had to retract it because she posted receipts, like text messages. Otherwise, do you guys remember that guy's name that went on PBD and made that claim early on?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I'll look it up later. All right, let me read this one. But yeah, so she clearly was still in his life. They were communicating. all the way up to the end, and even referencing his own text at the very end where he's like, I'm thinking of having Candace on. And Andrew goes, that's not a good idea. I wouldn't do that. Then he says something about free will and, something. All right. So at the top, Charlie Kirk is saying, this is a C-level hit against you because they think they can provoke you. Candace says, yes. He goes, that's why this is all coordinated. Candace says, also, Marissa is involved. That's Marissa Straight, who is the head of Dennis PragerU. She's not the head. Is she the CEO or COO of PragerU? Marissa Straight. Do you guys know?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's high up at PragerU, and she used to be in the Mossad, and she was an IDF as well. Yeah. And she goes, Marissa Straight is involved too. And then I suspect they always send her out last to talk sense to me. Charlie says, they want you to do a video. Oh my God. I'm out. I won't work for him. And then Candace says, I believe it. Marissa Straight, ? She's part of the tribe. Don't listen to her. I know she is. I always know when they roll her out, it's like programming and his time. Oh, and this time I stood her up, or I stood up to her. There you go. Sorry. Yeah. How many of these to go on? How many did she post?
I think there's just 4. This is the one right here. This is the one. Read those top 2.
All right. It says, so Charlie's in the white or the gray, and he goes, good. I've told all the Jews recently to go to hell. Oh, wow. Who tried to tell me to stop. Dang. It's unreal. It's an implicit threat. He goes, by the way, did the flight work out okay? She says, is that by the way? Yeah, by the way, you are featured in my Tucker interview that I just dropped. Defended you hardcore. Forgot to mention he just dropped it. And then Charlie says, thank you. We are on the same team. Screw these people. Around the 20-minute mark, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Very few of us willing to stand up to the cabal right now. I couldn't agree more.
The cabal. So now we got to go to that article we found, Matt, because I think these texts had to be around the same time as all this stuff happening in November of 2023, right? So read that headline. I think that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is 11/7/2023. It says Charlie Kirk turns to anti-Semitic stereotypes amid Israel-Hamas war. And this is on Media Matters, right? Have you read this whole thing?
Parts of it.
Yeah. Turning Point USA founder and right-wing radio host Charlie Kirk. And obviously, you guys, this is Media Matters tilt on it, okay? But just keep that in mind.
Back in 2023 when the culture war was not what it is today, too.
Right, and 11/7 is just a few weeks after he went on PBD, or right around the time he went on PBD. I forget the time it aired, but it was like, I want to say it was like 10/10 was the PBD after 10/7, where he was like, Bibi Netanyahu has a mandate to ethnically cleanse Gaza. So this is like right around that.
Yes, but this is also interesting because I think I sent it to you. This is around the time that Ben Shapiro himself downplayed the same anti-Semitic rhetoric that Charlie was defending that Elon Musk had made. They're all connected, right? And so I think I sent you the Ben Shapiro clip. We should watch that one too.
Yeah.
Because it's all like, this is all relating back to that tweet and the video that Charlie made, the Jewish donors clip. But even Ben Shapiro himself was downplaying Elon Musk's rhetoric. And kind of excusing the anti-Semitism that Charlie and then Candace and Tucker all kind of then began to get accused of. So I think we should start here and then go to that article that implicates Charlie, Candace, Tucker, because they named them all back then, November of 23.
Correct. All right, let me go back to Ben. How long is this clip? Okay, let's hit it. You guys, I'm sorry he has caterpillars for eyebrows. His voice is so painful. It's not much to look at, but we got to do it. Here we go.
Some of the same dynamic has been striking Elon Musk over the course of the last 24 hours. So Musk made a rather large Twitter boo-boo last night. Somebody on Twitter posted the following message, quote, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest bleep now about Western Jewish populations, coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want truth said to your face? There it is. So that was the tweet. Musk then tweeted, "You have said the actual truth." And this set everything ablaze. So it is true, obviously, that certain Jewish organizations have bought into and promoted things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, which are gross distortions of the American dream. Nobody hates DEI more than I do. There are certain Jewish groups that are liberal in orientation who have supported that sort of stuff. Many of those groups have also pushed for open borders. It is also true that some of those organizations are now realizing post-October 7th that actually open immigration for people who hate Jews on an intersectional basis was pretty stupid. The problem with the original tweet is that it labels Jewish communities en masse. So my community, for example, pretty Jewish, has always opposed DEI and open borders. In fact, most Orthodox communities do. Presumably then, Musk was reading the term Jewish communities and instead seeing the letters ADL. And indeed, that's exactly what Musk then clarified. He said, quote, "The ADL unjustly attacks the majority of the West, despite the majority of the West supporting the Jewish people in Israel. This is because they cannot, by their own tenets, criticize the minority groups who are their primary threat. It is not right, and it needs to stop." And then Musk continued, "You are right that this does not extend to all Jewish communities. It is not just limited to the ADL." So that's a much more specific point, and it's certainly true. There are a lot of liberal Jewish organizations that supported a lot of the same policies that have now imported a lot of people who really hate Jews and Westerners into the West. And a lot of the very same people who are pushing DEI intersectional politics are now realizing the wages of that. That's true. The original tweet was wildly overbroad. But a huge number of people in the media decided now was the time to link Musk and the alt-right and the so-called Jewish question and support the notion that Musk is some sort of crypto-Nazi. Now, it's not a coincidence, again, that a lot of the people doing just that are happily calling for Israel to cease fire in its war with Hamas. See, very often anti-Semitism becomes a political football. When you can hang the label on Donald Trump or Elon Musk and you're on the left, you do it. However, when you're forced to denounce pro-Hamas protesters shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, suddenly you get a little shy. Thus, the same media, leaping on both Trump and Musk, has been downplaying the open Jew hatred at massive pro-Hamas protests around the globe, instead propagating lies about Israel's supposed human rights violations. Instead, they're focusing in on their political enemies like Trump and Musk and deeming them the acolytes of Hitler. Meanwhile, the actual Hitler acolytes who are out there waving Mein Kampf, they're like, those people, I mean, they are oppressed and brown. It might have more bite to hit Trump and Musk for supposed anti-Semitism if these people actually spent some actual time talking about the people who actually like Hitler on planet Earth, who are right now holding some 240 Jews and others hostage in Gaza and killed 1,200 people and have subjected the Gaza Strip to complete hellish tyranny for the last 20 years. But a lot of these same people are totally silent. In 1 second, we'll talk about their silence because their silence is absolutely deafening. Some of the same dynamic.
I hit pause, but then it started.
Ben Shapiro talking about the ADL is like my sleep paralysis, my worst nightmare. Dude. That was painful. But I think that is interesting because I don't think we would hear Ben Shapiro say any of that today necessarily when we see what's happened at a national level.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that what we'll get into next, kind of the other clips and stuff that we've found, support this kind of thesis that, I think kind of we're starting to expand on, which is that, what happened to Charlie was a warning, I think, to many in the movement, kind of stop talking about this stuff. And then we saw what happened with the war in Iran and also with this NDAA stuff. It's all pretty indicative of trying to silence Charlie forever and not have him talk about these blatant overreaches from our federal government. Excuse me.
And Matt, like Tyler, right, said, "I'm a Zionist," right?
Yeah. So to go back to what you all talked about when I first came on the show was TPUSA ever a real conservative, like America First organization? And I'm going to tell you right now, from my experience, and this is not even my own opinion anymore. This is fact. No, they were not, because of Tyler Bowyer. You know what? I lived next door, not next door, but in the same neighborhood of the Kadars in Sedona, which the Kadars, the first building in the Turning Point campus was the Kadar building. It was named after Andrea and Dwight Kadar. They lived in Sedona. They had told me, Charlie came up there when he was like 17, 18 years old, and Tyler's the one who brought him up there. And the Kadars are heavily pro-Israel, one, and I will say a lot of people warned me about getting involved with Turning Point in 2024 during the election cycle because a lot of Arizonans had already known Tyler Bowyer and his misdealings before Charlie came into the picture, when he's just been embedded with Arizona politics through the Mormon mafia for years. His family goes back 7 to 9 generations in Arizona. And they always said, Matt, I know you like Charlie. It's not Charlie. It's Tyler and the other people that are running the show. Charlie is just the face. Unfortunately, he only has the title as CEO. He has no say. And Tyler has admitted that he ran the show from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think even just my own personal experiences that I've talked about previously have indicated that. Matt, you and I were talking before we got on about, some of the debate night prep where I, as a producer, tried to, get Charlie Kirk to debate Nick Fuentes as far back as 2021. And it was actually Tyler Bowyer and the people that he had empowered, Andrew Kolvet and other producers, kind of redirecting the conversation away from that, when, again, days prior, Tyler himself said that it would be a good idea to debate, quote, trolls with big followings, end quote. And again, if you think back to 2021, how badly Nick Fuentes wanted to debate Charlie at the time, I felt like it would have broken the internet. It would have been one heck of a first episode to have for Charlie Kirk's debate night, right? Debate the kid who's always wanted to debate Charlie and also prove why your ideas are right. Now, simultaneously, I know Charlie wasn't too fond of Nick or talking to him at the time, so I understand kind of why that didn't go through perchance. But again, you got to realize Charlie was never in this conversation. It was never run by Charlie. Even in the messages I posted here, they talk about creating a list of guests to then run by Charlie, right? It was very managed. It was very filtered. The access to him was very limited. And again, I don't think that's kind of what they want you to think.
Yeah, here Tyler says we probably need to do mini profiles on people to put in front of Charlie. So that means whatever information gets put in front of Charlie is already going to be curated, redacted, or filtered, whatever. Yeah, that based on Tyler is probably going to have the last say on what's included and excluded in the paperwork in a profile before it hits Charlie, right? He's probably the one that looks at it right before it goes to Charlie.
Well, yeah, I think even if you go to the next one, I think it might be the next one, he talks to two of the kind of managers at the time, and he says, hey, I'm going to get together with you and we're going to talk about how we're going to do this outreach, right? And that was a private conversation that wasn't had in the group chat. Again, production had already started on this, and in comes Tyler to kind of manage the outreach of who Charlie may or may not debate. And again, you'll see how I handled it. I was, again, I think 21 at the time, maybe 22. Right. And again, I'm young. I'm a free thinker. I met Charlie when I was 15, and I wanted him to honestly debate Nick and own him. That way we would never have to hear about Nick Fuentes again. I always kind of looked at him as Buddy from The Incredibles, where it's like, Buddy, go home. And then he becomes the supervillain, right? And I would have loved to see Charlie honestly like kind of own him and debate him and put his ideas to bed. But also I think it would have forced Charlie to confront some of the truths of Nick's, kind of shattered worldview. There are some truths there. And I think that, at the time in 2021, it would have shifted the Overton window far further than anyone in the culture was ready for at the time. And again, it's just another example of how Tyler kind of filtered, and even people like Andrew were not allowing him to engage on these topics as far back as 2021.
Yeah, and let's read this, right? So listen to this, you guys. Andrew Kolvet says, Charlie wants to officially stop messaging folks from his account. How do we know that? We don't. This is just Andrew saying it. Is Charlie part of this chat? No. And then he goes, so just FYI, no more personal notes out until further notice. Tyler Bowyer goes to not Natalie Marcus, not Natalie Marcus will give you a buzz on what process to follow as we proceed. And then Tyler goes, can you guys let me know when it's good to call you together? So he's trying to, bring these people together. Charlie is probably not part of this at all. Andrew's speaking on behalf of Charlie. We don't have any kind of verification that Charlie told Andrew any of that. And we want to know, like, was Charlie's life being heavily managed? Yeah. Yeah. And then
this is one example. This is just like one show, right? This is just one show with Charlie Kirk. Think of everything they did with that man. How many people, how many bureaucrats were put in place to filter whatever was happening? Just think about that. Just think about it.
And this is you here in the purple. How about Nick Fuentes? I think it's at least worth reconsideration given the difficulty getting guests. He would at least get tons of eyes on the show. Connor Clegg says no Nick Fuentes. And then
so keep in mind, we were having trouble finding people who wanted to debate Charlie Kirk. So a week prior, Tyler Bowyer said we should debate trolls. Then they try and find guests for about a week and a half. They can't find anyone who wants to come debate Charlie. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm just going to throw this out. We'll see how it lands. You know, these people are free thinkers. Allegedly, this shouldn't really impact my employment. You know, it shouldn't negatively reflect anything. But let's see how it goes. No Nick Fuentes. And then again, I'm like, guys, why? It would not only bring so many viewers, it would give you an opportunity to put this kind of thorn in your side to rest. And in the back of my mind, expose Charlie to the Israel issue, right? That was kind of my secret, back end, trying to play the devil's advocate there, right? But also from a fundamental logical point, it would give you an opportunity to do those two other things I just mentioned. And so you'll see kind of my thought process here. You can get into it.
Yeah, it says, I just think right now he's one of the few willing to debate Charlie, right? It would pull a massive audience for a show release. I know he's a groyper, and that's the point. Aren't we supposed to put bad ideas to bed by means of debate? That's the whole point of this show, is to show why our ideas are better. That's a very good point. At least it generates a conversation and shows that we are willing to try to put bad ideas to bed with logic, reason, and sound arguments. Last, I'll speak on the issue. This isn't in bad faith at all. I just want the show to be the best it can, and I think Fuentes would make it so. Might as well address the elephant in the room, and then nobody responds to you.
Of course, yeah, it was no Nick Fuentes, and then it was never addressed again. And then from there, I think from that day forward, I was kind of slowly sidelined. I still was able to do a couple things, and I ended up going to work for Jack Posobiec for a little bit on Human Events Live and produced the FBI documentary shortly thereafter. But, again, I think that moment kind of, I was very clear on it. Again, I was like, this is not in bad faith. I'm not a secret groyper. I just believe in free thought. I believe in challenging the nerve. I believe in asking questions. I believe, as we're seeing now 5 years later, there is some truth to these issues, and I wish that these issues would have had an idea to kind of come to light back then, but they didn't. And I'm not really focused again on the what, I'm focused on the why. And it's indicative of a greater kind of control of Charlie and the access he was, or the information he was given access to or exposed to at that time.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to pull up that article that had Charlie, Candace, and Elon Musk at the top. Here it is. Here we go. A mask-off week for right-wing anti-Semitism. Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens.
This article, I feel like it had to have dropped right around the same time those texts that Candace put out.
11/21/2023.
Right, and this is when Ben Shapiro's defending Elon Musk. This is when Charlie Kirk. We can go play that clip. It's like the 9-minute one from my Twitter that I put out. It's the full clip, but we can just play the last 30 seconds. It's where Charlie says that labeling a man as great as Elon an anti-Semite is, kind of weakens the term anti-Semitism. This is what this is about, I think. And then we're going to unpack that here.
Is that the one that you have right under your Elon Musk one?
I think so.
It's 9 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yeah, that's the one. Jump to 9:15 and play that, and then go to the article.
Okay. Where is the sound bar? All right, hold on. 9:15. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not showing me your little your memoriam thing is. Oh no, there it is at the end. Okay, the time bar's on the other side on here. 9:15. Oh my goodness. At the very end. All right, that's close enough. Let me make sure the volume's up for you guys.
And make sure it's on too.
Yeah. Is it on the screen? Can you guys see it?
I don't see it.
No, that's why I didn't add it to the screen. There we go. Thank you for telling me. All right, let's hit play. 1 second. There we go. I got so many tabs open.
Millions of dollars, financing many nonprofits that many of them are now recognizing and realizing this was a bad idea. So I'm going to build this out because the second part of the tweet I don't like, and it ties into some news that is not so good for AOC. It's not good for Ayanna Pressley. I'm going to isolate that in just a second. But let me just say before I talk about My Patriot Supply, it is sloppy, it is shallow, it is wrong and repulsive to call a great man, Elon Musk, an anti-Semite. It cheapens the label of anti-Semitism. It is not good for anybody.
Okay, so that was in 2023. Now pull up the article because the names in the headline are very important, man. We got to talk about this.
Yeah, let me.
So again, remember, Ben Shapiro just basically said the same thing Charlie did right there. Elon Musk isn't an anti-Semite, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So read the title and the subtext
Yeah,
there.
Elon, a mask off week for right-wing anti-Semitism. Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Charlie Kirk air grievances about Jews. And it says prominent right-wing commentators with major platforms and significant influence over the Republican Party spent last week airing their grievances about the Jews, and unprecedented foray into anti-Semitism that drew cheers from white nationalists for its explicit nature. Give me a break.
So we can stop there because, again, listen to those four names. It was Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk is dead, and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson are being labeled by Charlie Kirk's company, those people associated, employed by his company, and anyone kind of aligned with the TPUSA ecosystem, the quote-unquote MAGA right, whatever we want to call it. These labels mean nothing at this point to me. But all of these people are trying to label those two individuals enemies of the state and anti-American, communist, even. I think Gary Melton has said, like, these people are just throwing labels around and hoping that one sticks, right? And then we get to Elon Musk, because, again, this is where this all started, was Elon Musk responding to a tweet that pretty much endorsed the fact that the Jews are anti-white, correct? So let's go compare now the speeches that were given, or kind of the interviews, or the two, I don't know, audio bites we have from Charlie's memorial. There's one from Elon and there's one from Tucker. And I think if you contrast them, you will begin to see the truth that is being hidden, the truth that is that they are trying to not have you pay attention to. And hopefully we begin to lift the veil off of some of your eyes on this, because, again, Charlie went to bat for Elon Musk and defended him against being labeled an anti-Semite. Now, hypothetically, if Charlie Kirk was killed because he was coming too close to being, an anti-Semite, as Ben Shapiro might describe him or label him, let's now watch Elon's interview and then Tucker's speech, and who do you think is on the side of Christ here? I just want to pose that question.
100%.
Well, Charlie was someone who believed in dialogue and in open debate. He was a man of ideas. He spoke eloquently. He basically never even raised his voice. He was a man of peace. And now he's been murdered in cold blood.
Did you know him personally?
Yes, of course. We met many times.
How was he like?
I supported his organization. I supported Turning Point from quite early.
Why was he killed?
He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark.
Thank you, sir.
So that, I mean, yes,
actual
true, but
that's
did
so
you see
painful.
him, like, did you see him squirming? Like, he's almost like uncomfortable because he knows. I think we all know the truth at this point, right? Even if the Fed slop want to push something, we know the truth. You don't need evidence to know what the truth is, because it's the truth, and you can feel it, and that's kind of the Holy Spirit, I think, speaking to all of us. But compare that again. Remember, Charlie Kirk defended Elon Musk and went to bat for him in 2023. Now let's watch Tucker's interview, or Tucker's speech, and you'll just see what I'm saying and why these people are now being labeled enemies of the state. It will all make sense.
Yeah.
The worst thing that you can do.
Let me
is
turn
tell
it
the
up.
Truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about, what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea. Why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and here Tucker is he's comparing Jesus right at the end, like what the scene was with like the Pharisees of what must have happened when they were planning, and like, you know, what was the issue that he was doing, right? He was questioning and he was pointing out their hypocrisy, and he's saying that he's making an analogy to Charlie Kirk. So he's not obviously in that moment talking directly about Charlie. He's telling the, you know, the whole scenario surrounding Jesus's last day before he was killed, but he's comparing it to Charlie, you know. And I found that interesting the first time I watched that too.
I think it's very tactful. Again, I was in the room that day, and I think that when he said that, I was kind of just sitting there chuckling to myself, right? Because there is a double meaning to it. The people who eat hummus, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have it could be your first day on earth and you'll know what that means, right? And so to kind of imagine Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring kind of, you know, in a similar position saying similar things, you know, like, could just kill this guy and shut him up forever. You know, he said the quiet parts out loud. I think it's like an imagination, something that you can at least ponder and envision, right? Realistically, knowing that, you know, before they hated Charlie Kirk, they hated Jesus Christ. And again, I think that's kind of what Tucker's indicating there. Again, I just kind of wish that Elon Musk had more spine and kind of more of a backbone to stand up to these people. But again, I think that's why we're seeing the things that we are now, where, you know, even I am now getting tweets kind of struck as inciting violence for saying the exact same things that Charlie Kirk was saying on the air in 2023, such as, you know, the Jews control the media and everything else. It's indicative of this truth that they are working so very hard to hide, and they are putting so much money into hiding. It just takes comparing a couple clips and looking back 3 years to realize kind of what's going on at a deeper spiritual level. Again, these people are demons using politics as the front to wage spiritual war on us all.
Matt, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What would be a good reason for Ben Shapiro to be on a phone call with Charlie Kirk's security team while they're taking him to the hospital?
The answer is there is no good reason whatsoever. I mean, look, we all know Ben Shapiro's security team.
Yeah.
Former Mossad agents.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is no good reason, but the reason that he did do that was because he's telling Brian Hartpole and Frank Turk, like, job well done.
That's what I think.
Much. I'm sorry. Like, that's exactly what that was. Job well done. Is it done yet? While you're stuffing 36 feet of gauze in his neck?
Yeah.
Bull crap.
Yeah.
They were killing. The final kill shot was in the car. That's my honest opinion right there.
Yeah, and I
believe, or, you know, the way it looked, he probably was dead on his way to the car. But if anything, they were trying to make sure it was done in the car.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because I can't make sense in a couple things. The story in which they say they were all situated in the car, that Brian Hartpole's at Charlie's feet, the doors hanging open, right? They're going 100 miles down the road. Rick Cutler's actually the one that should be rendering aid. He's the one with Charlie's head in his lap, but Rick Cutler decides to use his two hands to hold on to Brian Hartpole because he's got the tattoo. So he's one of us. I got the tattoo. And he's holding on to Brian Hartpole, and then Frank Turk is supposedly in the back praying the whole time out loud. But then at the last 20 to 30 seconds, he goes, no. My bad. I'm going to take the lead. He must have had to push Brian out the way because Brian's putting the gauze in. So he's like, Brian, you don't know what you're doing. Shoves him out of the way. And then he says he's going to start giving chest compressions and mouth to mouth, while he also says that Brian didn't see him doing that. Brian must have not noticed that I did that. It doesn't make any sense what was going on in the car unless they're trying to cover up. They're trying to give us something that they all were doing the entire time to cover up what maybe really did happen in the car.
I'm no medical expert, so, you know, forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but he's got a neck injury. I don't know. And blood's gushing out. I don't know if giving mouth to mouth and CPR.
Brian said no.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, but Frank Turk, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
These people, this is the sloppiest PSYOP ever conducted in the history of America. For real.
Well, I feel like it's intentionally sloppy, and I feel like there are layers to the slop, right? you on the one hand have the slop that's coming out from the Charlie Kirk show, which is Blake Neff hurling racist remarks at Candace Owens openly on the timeline, coupled with Andrew Kolvet, saying that standard time was the issue that Charlie cared most about, when we all know it was taking down the deep state and bringing America back to the average American. So that's one aspect. And then you have this other aspect that I mentioned previously, which is Turning Point USA is very, I don't know, and Matt, you might remember this too. They're very restrictive on who they allow to speak to the media and in what fashion. Students, activists, students, even employees such as myself were encouraged to avoid the media at all costs. So the people that they not only allowed to go to the media in regards to the assassination, but then also the stories that they gave and the ways in which they conflicted, I think is interesting because it feels intentional to me. This all feels like an intentional kind of chaotic diversion to confuse us all, to masquerade the truth of whatever did in fact happen that day. And again, much like JFK, I don't know if we will ever get the truth. I'll probably be 75 getting the Charlie Kirk files, partially redacted. But I think that this is all a part of it, right? It's chaos, smoke and mirrors. They're throwing whatever they can at us to disorient us. And that's why, again, while there have been, in my opinion, very beneficial truths that have come of this process, we all do need to remain focused on the fact that, hey, they are trying to, manufacture this crisis, these crises, these assassination attempts. They're staging acts of violence, and then they're selling to you this leftist boogeyman, when in reality, the nation state of Israel is about to subvert our entire government, and the military will be aligned with them. And none of us voted for that. Again, that is the bigger issue that everyone is missing.
Why? So you guys are both, well, Matt politically, and Meech being with, well, you two as well. You were in TPUSA, and even though it's, Turning Point USA is not political, I mean, it still is. I know it's not the political arm. Turning Point Action is, but why would they intentionally want this PSYOP to be sloppy? Matt, can you tell me your perspective, and then we'll go to Meech.
Like, why Turning Point, or why everything, the government, the military?
Yeah, I mean, any of the above.
Gosh,
I'm trying to scratch my brain as why they would want it to be that sloppy.
I am too. Look, I always have believed that there are good people still in our government. There's still good people in organizations as well.
Yeah.
We don't know. We know, but we don't know. I'm going to use Candace's term right now, but for some reason, I think it is sloppy because we, on a spiritual level, on a biblical spiritual level, nothing, and I'm going to not sound Q-ish right now, but nothing can stop what's coming. It's happening. We are heading into a direction where humanity is shifting biblically, spiritually right now. And it looks bad out there, but I do believe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's more so at the hands of God at this point of why it is so sloppy. And really, I do. And I do think there are good people in our government. I do. And they're up against,
they're not, the whole
lot.
Government isn't bad. I mean, but there's key people for sure that are.
Look, I have friends texting me today who work for President Trump right now in his administration. And they're saying they are so sick and tired of this Zionist issue that's being pushed, and they got to remain silent. I can't use their names. Unfortunately, I would love to show the text messages between me and a person from the Trump transition team, but I can't do that because they are scared of losing their livelihood, and they're scared for their life.
Have they given you any insight into that Trump looks to be, I mean, he's obviously being controlled, but is it he's threatened, he's afraid, he's what the shift, the change that occurred was so drastic? Go ahead, sorry.
I think he was the Trojan horse from the beginning. I think we've all been duped since 2015, since he walked down the golden escalators.
Do you think he was a knowing participant in the dupe? From the beginning, do you think it was his goal? He was,
in my honest opinion, yes. If you would have asked me last year, 2 years ago, I would have thought I was crazy and told you guys to check me into a mental hospital.
Yeah. And so I did a video, I don't know, a couple months ago, when you look at his trajectory from 2015, the first rally, all the way until present, It's almost like he employed his book, The Art of the Deal. Okay.
100. I've read it.
Yes. Same.
Well,
Yes.
and I mean, if you go back, even there are videos of Donald Trump, I think as far back as the 1980s, where he's talking about how we should just go into Iran and take their oil, right? And so, I didn't really mean to interrupt, but I'll just give kind of my 2 cents very quickly,
Yeah,
which
go
is
ahead.
like, I think that this is all intentional. I've said it before, I'll keep saying it, which I feel like this is an intentional subversion of the most powerful, anti-establishment, pro-American Christian movement that was about to fundamentally reshape this nation. Again, we put all of the right people in place to do that. They all just betrayed Charlie Kirk and the movement the minute they got that power. And so I think that, to answer your question of why is it this sloppy, it's intentionally sloppy. They don't want people making sense of it. One, they are doing things that are blatantly racist, that are blatantly anti-American. They are lying to the American public, trying to corrode justice, which is a foundational pillar of our republic. And they're simultaneously calling themselves patriots, right? It's like the most hypocritical thing I've ever witnessed. But it, again, is so blatantly hypocritical that it almost only feel like can be explained by intentional, and it seems to be being walked back and destroyed in very particular ways, because it breaks all sense of logic and rationale. Again, if you know who Charlie Kirk was deep down, and the war that he was waging, and the way in which he wanted to reshape this country from top to bottom.
Man, so with
They were
Charlie,
neocons. They're all neocons.
The
In
neocons
America
have
First clothing.
Yep.
That's exactly what they've been. And I believe he was part of the Teneo network. Charlie was, but who introduced him to the Teneo network, which is a neocon network? It's Tyler Bowyer. The naivety, unfortunately, is what was Charlie's kryptonite, really.
Well, and I mean, you got to give him some credit. He got in politics when he was fresh out of high school, 17, 18 years old, right? And so, again, the Israel issue, the topic of Israel, quote unquote, the JQ, was nowhere near where it was in 2023, 2025, 2026, right?
Correct.
And so we do have to give Charlie Kirk some credit. I think that, again, these text messages that have been revealed, and even Blake Neff confirming it, right? It proves that he was there, right? And he had turned the corner, and he had seen the world for what it truly was. Unfortunately, I think he was in too deep. He had made kind of deals with the devil, so to speak, that he didn't realize at the time were that, the implications of them. And again, there are so many different strands we can trace, but that fact to me further emphasizes why we're seeing this mass cancellation across the board of whether it's Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Thomas Massey, anyone who's even remotely echoing the claims that Charlie was making on this specific issue. Like simultaneously, while the government is merging itself with Israel again, and none of the American people want this, kind of seems like the motive to me. To call that a conspiracy theory is insane when you expect me to believe a 30-06 created that wound and did not blow my friend's head off, right? Like, it's just, that's more conspiracy theory than me looking at what's happened over the last 2-3 years, the statements that were said, the reactions that were made by people like Ben Shapiro, Andrew Kolvet, and others, and then looking at who's benefited in the wake of that, not only the federal government, the establishment that Charlie himself put into place, but those individuals that I just mentioned specifically, right? It's so apparent to me that you kind of have to be an idiot not to see it.
What did Blake Neff confirm? What did I miss? Did he confirm something on X? You said even Blake Neff confirmed it. What did he
What
say?
was I just talking about? Yeah, just the that the Israel texts were real, right? And
Oh,
that,
okay.
Like, yeah, like that those were sent to the government beforehand, like, and then that they were working with the FBI beforehand.
Oh, and that they thought it was an issue, that they even thought it was such an issue,
right,
that they sent it to the FBI.
Well, and again, it's like I asked the question before, I'll say it again. If Andrew Kolvet sent threats and suspicious TikToks to the FBI before the shooting happened, why did Charlie Kirk still end up dead? Who didn't do their job that day? Was it Kash Patel's FBI? Was it Andrew Kolvet? Like, why was he still sent out to that tent if the FBI knew and preventative measures weren't taken? Who didn't do their job, right? And that's a tweet I put out the other day, which is like, if you play that interview that Charlie did with Tucker, he talks about how all of these people who betrayed him are his friends. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, right? So I'm sure Charlie felt safe walking out to that tent when he was he thought all these people were his friends and they had his back, right? And so to think that, oh, hey, we told the FBI there's some stuff going on, but you're safe. Like, I'm sure he probably believed that. And it's just so tragic to me. It's a biblical level betrayal. I'll keep saying it.
Yeah, I think that they all did, right? So, I mean, I think for sure if the FBI and the government, whoever they sent it to, right, got the texts, and they didn't, caution whoever would have been the point of contact at Turning Point, whether it's directly Charlie or it's like Brian Harpel and Dan Flood. The fact that Brian Harpel and Dan Flood didn't actually do a real security plan for UVU. They didn't go ahead, like truly ahead, walk the campus and see all potential shooting positions and make sure that those were covered. We know that on the morning of the 10th, they were only alerted to the one Hall of Flags because students were up there throwing rocks down on the tent of where Charlie was going to sit. Aside from that roof, which they didn't even have an issue with until that morning, that's when Dan Flood sent out the text. That's when Chief Long said, I got you covered. That's when they sectioned it off. They put the caution tape and they put one cop, Officer Bagley, and one security guy up there. So when asked, by other people, or when they're saying like, no, like Frank Turek and Brian Harpo, like we didn't do anything wrong. Like we didn't drop the ball, and they want to blame Chief Long, and they try to reference a text thread and they make it out to be like Dan Flood asked for all the roofs to be covered and Chief Long said, got you covered. And as if that this was part of something that happened 2 weeks in advance in the preparatory work for the security team is just a complete lie and misrepresentation of what actually happened. So I think everyone involved in the whole process that knew about the texts, that knew that they sent it to the FBI, and like they all, I think, hold some sort of responsibility as to why did they all let him go out that day? That's my personal.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's even a larger responsibility of just other people who were present that day. It's like, I've been facing some personal attacks from people I know personally, and it's like they're telling me I'm saying word salads and things like that, and it's like, okay, at least I'm saying something. What are you saying? Where have you been? And again, these people are not saying things. I'm curious why, but don't attack me for asking questions when you yourself were there and you're not saying anything, right? That to me is indicative of a much larger issue that you don't want to talk about. And it's fine. Like we won't make a big deal out of it. But again, it's just like, it's kind of strange, right? The same people who are like, pick up the mic are oddly frustrated when certain people do it.
Well, and I mean, to point out, I went back and watched that clip. It's hard to hear with all the overlay and the sped up and stuff, but you want to clear up.
Oh, I mean, no, I mean, it's just like, I've been told that maybe I said Andrew Kolvet was at UVU. I don't know where he was that day. I don't think anyone does. But no one knows where he was. If Blake Neff was there, I kind of would imagine Andrew should have been there, right? It's kind of weird to me that if Blake Neff was there, why wasn't Andrew? Because I feel like Andrew Kolvet was more of Charlie's day-to-day producer. So
he was.
Yeah, I will kind of put to bed any of those accusations. Like, no, I don't know where he was that day. Sorry if you thought I said that. I said, if Blake was there, then, where was Andrew? He probably should have been there. But again, we don't know. We should just ask Andrew Kolvet where he was that day.
Well, and so there's been so many conflicting stories, right? He himself on the 11th said, and I played it a few weeks ago or a week ago, that he was hosting the Charlie Kirk show when it happened, but we know that was a pre-recorded show that they did. We also know, or we don't know, they've told us that he was at his house in Santa Barbara when he got the call. He rushed to the airport, got on the plane, and flew directly to Provo. But there's no way he could have made it in time unless he was notified in advance. But there's also Baron Coleman that's done, and I think Candace Owens as well, with the flight logs, that it looks like possibly he could have left earlier than that, flew to Arizona, was on the plane that picked up Erika Kirk, because he had to be not accessible during a certain period of time when they asked Abri Leish to draft the response. Remember, so it's Marina Minez that specifically asks Abri Leish, you need to draft the response because Andrew Kolvet, we can't get a hold of him. Well, he wasn't even supposed to be unable to get a hold of unless he's not on the actual flight that they're saying he's on. If he's on that flight, then there shouldn't have been an issue. But I think there's also potential that him and Erika were both, maybe this is a possibility, and I think it's been floated by other people, that they were both already on the tarmac at UVU in one of the planes on the ground there, because it's also doesn't make sense, right? Why was Erika Kirk waiting an hour for Andrew Kolvet? This is their story. She landed, waited an hour for Andrew Kolvet to arrive. Then they have this embrace, hug, and his wife is right behind him supposedly too, and like gets off and hugs her, and then they then go to the airport. I mean, to the hospital. Would you be waiting around for somebody if your significant other had just been shot? Or are you going straight there? You're going to go straight there.
That's the thing, is like, are y'all messing around behind Charlie's back? Because that's kind of what that sounds like to me.
Yeah,
that's like Brian. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Look, when my grandfather died in 2017, like my mom didn't even know I was on my way home on a flight to Florida until I literally got on the tarmac in Tampa, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, I'm here. Can you pick me up?" She goes, "I didn't even know you're on your way."
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't do anything else. You get there when a significant other is either, pronounced dead or, been shot or something like what happened to Charlie, some tragic accident that is life-threatening. You don't wait for freaking Andrew Kolvet, his producer. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh,
and to reiterate what Meech said a few minutes ago about, Charlie being young and everything, like, look, even at my age in my 30s, when I got involved with Arizona politics, like I was duped heavily, and I was naive and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so one, no, we were not allowed to talk to the media. That was in our training for TP Action as well. We were never allowed to discuss anything with the media, even if it was like some of their media outlets. They were like, do not talk to anybody. You can't. And I'm just, it's just sad. It's just sad where this is going and what they did. But all in all, I just find it odd with the tarmac hug, etc., and waiting an hour as well. I mean, but yeah, to reiterate what Meech said before, I fell victim to everything that Charlie has as well.
And I can add to that as well. I agree with you that it's not just his age, right? That even you as an adult, when you enter this space, like you are, especially if you're a good person, a Christian person, that you're like trusting of people and they present themselves as the same thing and say the right words, right? And behave the right way in front of you. Like, what are you to do? Like at that time, you hadn't had any reason to determine that no one should be trusted. The same similar things has happened to me entering into a space like this. It's a new space. I'm an adult. I'm pretty smart. Don't think I'm that stupid and gullible, but you'd be surprised how many people are saying one thing and then doing something completely the opposite when you're not around, and so I would say it's not a far-fetched to just oh, he was so smart, how could he not know? I think, especially he knew a lot of these people personally, and he probably had a lot of personal interactions with them where they put on the right show, said the right words, and he had trusted them.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, right? I've always said this, and I've told Meech this before he came on your show too. Like when Meech and I met a couple months ago on X, I said, look, I've always said this. The TP Action side, the TPUSA side, TPUSA was good. TP Action came along. Tyler Bowyer is all of a sudden COO of TP Action. He's in control of everything. The TP Action side is the evil side. It always was. It was evil from the beginning because of Tyler Bowyer, and then he got TPUSA dirty.
Yeah,
on the TPUSA side. That's what happened. Tyler Bowyer needed to create that political arm so that he could infiltrate Charlie's main prerogative, which was TPUSA and the youth movement and real America First conservatives. I've always said that. I noticed it even when I worked at TP Action. I told my manager, I said, Tyler Boyer's side's a little bit different than the TPUSA side. She's like, what do you mean by that? I said, it's a bit more evil. It's evil. She goes, yeah. She goes, I'm kind of noticing Tyler, the way he works and everything. I said, yeah.
Well, and keep in mind, right, as long as Charlie was around, there was at least he had some ability with his own personality and just him being Charlie to not allow that to fully take over the Turning Point USA side of things. But with
Well,
him gone,
I
what?
will say that, like, this is part of what I've been saying, and it's indicative in those text messages as far back as 2021. Tyler Bowyer had a hand in the construction of Turning Point USA to begin with, right? So he laid the groundwork for kind of the company culture, the corporate culture that was established inside of Turning Point USA. And I don't think it was fully aligned with Charlie's vision, right? I think that's part of why Charlie separated Tyler over to Action, and also why he wanted to kind of have this Doge audit and get his company back to his original mission, right? Not that of another. Now, when it comes to Action, Matt is correct. It is a more evil side of things, but I want to kind of articulate why I believe that. I think it's because Action is now being used to prop up the Republican establishment. And again, this was historically a group that was started to be a grassroots kind of resistance to the establishment, right?
Yeah.
It was bringing up the underdog. It was bringing up the MAGA candidates. It was backing Trump because, again, he was an outsider, which now we've learned it's all just one big happy Zionist party, and we, the Americans, are left outside of it. All the while, Tyler Bowyer is telling you to vote in the next election because the left is going to steamroll us. And again, it's like, Tyler, why would I vote for another Republican when you yourself, who has a direct line to President Trump, are not holding these people accountable when we delivered a mandate for them to enact and they're doing the exact opposite, right? So there's that level of evil to it. But also, again, now is the time for us as Christians, as Americans, right? It's 250. We have to pause. We have to reflect. We have to pray. We have to cry out to God, and then recognize that this political system, this two-party facade, is not servicing we the people in the way that it is promised, and it should. Right. And therefore, if that's the case, and coupled with NDAA, if this does make its way through, right, we need to have a national conversation. And this is where spiritual discernment is key, because these same people who are dividing us, who are aligning us with a foreign nation, are simultaneously calling themselves Christians when the people they are aligning us with are the same people who killed Christ. So again, it's a time for us as Christians, the average patriotic American, to not listen to the people who claim to be one thing when they're acting in another way. And just have spiritual discernment, pray, cry out to God. And if it comes to this, we need to have a national conversation. What legal rights do we have as a people to separate ourselves from a government that is no longer servicing us as citizens? Because I feel like that's where we're at, right? It truly, I don't know how much more we have to put up with as people, but like, what is it going to take?
Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan, I can't play it because every time I play Tucker, which, by the way, when you guys start having your channels and you start doing videos and things, you play Tucker, it's going to tell you got copyright. I think it's just because so many people do hit pieces on them. It's just their way of making sure that they don't. But he had a conversation with Sean Ryan where this came up, right? Tucker Carlson said that he was going to start a third party. I mean, look back at Charlie Kirk, or in the early days, it was supposed to be a way to fight against the RNC, because the RNC was clearly just a tool of the elite that was only going to prop up, their candidate. Like, Trump fought against that until the RNC finally realized that he was the inevitable, right? But yeah, so Tucker was talking about that today. Like, what do we do when we realize that, no, the system completely is broken? And I think looking at like what happened to Massey, I don't know what we're going to wait for 28, to really know. I mean, obviously
That's why, like I say, the midterms don't even matter at this point to me, right? It's like, we really need to have a national conversation. I feel like none of our elected officials are even listening to us, right? They are simultaneously feeding us Fed slop, telling us to trust the state. It truly does feel like we're living in a parallel universe, because half these people 12 months ago were the ones chanting about how, we have to resist the government, fight the deep state, all this kind of stuff. It's like we're living in a night and day world. And I don't really see the point in voting. I don't know however many people my generation feel the same way, but I would imagine it's a lot. Again, after seeing what's happened, you people do not live up to anything that you say you're going to. Why would I go out and vote if regardless of who gets elected, we're going to bomb children in the Middle East, and then 4 years later the country's going to be flooded with immigrants because of that, and the only people who are happy are the people of Israel? That's not how America should be. And again, we have been given freedoms by God, and it is our right to, again, keep them as well. We have a divine right to do that, and it's time to start thinking about that.
Matt, have you been watching like the candidates that Turning Point is pushing out? Did you see the show that Tyler went on the other day? He went on
like pushing out, the Mormon
Who they're-
Mafia and Andy Biggs.
Yes. So
Andy
are the people that they're
Biggs.
saying to vote for people that anyone that's a Republican, Christian, conservative should actually vote for?
Are no, like
Okay.
who they're saying to vote for?
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, they're
Like,
all they're look. So I did, so they had a flyer of like, I think it was like Secretary of Treasury, Andy Biggs,
Yep.
Secretary of State, which is Alex Kolvet. I mean, 3 out of the 5 candidates that they're pushing were either tied to the Mormon Church or Zionists. And Alex Kolvet, who I believe won the primary, I haven't checked on him yet, but Andy Biggs won the primary this week.
Yeah.
Alex Kolvet is a Jew.
Yeah.
Is part of Israel. I
Yeah.
mean, this is who they're pushing out. This is the agenda.
How could you not see
and
that?
I always knew that Turning Point was pushing this stuff even when I worked for them. I had to keep my mouth shut, though. I really did. I thought maybe they're making mistakes. I gave them grace. I even gave Tyler Bowyer grace when I said, okay, guys, maybe he just made a few mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made financial mistakes. Maybe he didn't do something right with the coffers at the MCRC with $50,000 being missed after he left. I gave the man, I always intend as good Christians, we give somebody grace. But
yeah,
it's okay when you do that because God appreciates you giving grace, but doesn't mean that the grace was given rightfully so to that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Well, that doesn't mean you excuse repeated behavior either. I was in a similar boat, Matt. That's why I waited so long to come speak out publicly, because I wanted to trust that these people who were saying things at the very beginning were going to live up to those standards, right? I wanted to trust that the people who were going to carry on Charlie's movement and voice and vision for this country were going to do that. And I think we've seen them do the exact opposite. They've walked it back into the neoconservative playbook Charlie himself walked us out of. Yeah. But again, at the start, it's like you want to believe these people. You want to believe people that you've worked with for 10 plus years, people that claim to be Christians and conservatives, right? That's why this has been so shocking to me. How many people we've seen are not who they say they are. And it's just demonic to me, truly. It's like a mask off moment for our country. We really need to pause, reflect, and pray, and then take action.
Yeah. So I don't know. Tyler Bowyer went on Real America's Voice this week, I think either once or twice with Andrew Kolvet and Blake Neff talking about Andy Biggs. And because was that happening this week with Andy? Like,
I believe their primary, the Arizona primary was this week. So they got, everybody's already won whoever's won the primary will be running against the Democrat in November.
Or they had Jack Posobiec posting about Andy Biggs. Like, come on. How do you not see that this is like, whether they're pushing you to vote for a candidate or they're pushing you to trust the state on a 30-06, it's all kind of a coordinated PSYOP messaging campaign. And it's up to you, the American, to see through it, to have the spiritual and also political discernment to call it what it is. These people are feds. Therefore, we do not care what you have to say,
That's why when the Sasha Riley files came out, remember Sasha Riley?
I don't. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't want to say too much because it has a lot to do with Jeffy Epi.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to say, though, what stood out to me, the reason why I was like, all right, let me listen to Sasha Riley, see what he has to say. I mean, the first politician he named was Andy Biggs.
Oh, no way.
And I said, whoa. And that's why when a lot of people came after Sasha Riley and tried to discredit him, I was like, yeah, no, I know Arizona politics pretty well. And it does make sense. So Sasha Riley was abused by Andy Biggs.
Oh, wow.
So that's.
Can I ask you a question? I heard somebody say this. It might have been Tyler, it might have been someone else. What happens in Arizona makes a huge difference nationally, right?
I would say so, yeah.
Arizona's
it's a swing state and everything, but I'm going to tell you something. It's a battleground state, but I'm going to tell you whatever comes out of Arizona does determine a lot of our country's direction.
Tyler said that. I forget where I heard it. I heard him. I watched so many clips of these people trying to find, them, saying things they shouldn't say out loud, but they just can't help themselves so much of the time. It's insane. And I was just wondering, for someone that was much more nationally, politically, involved and educated than I am, is that a truthful statement? That
I would say so. Yes, a lot of patriot movements have come out of Arizona. A lot of patriot movements have come out of Arizona. Not only that, like, you got to look on a spiritual level too. It is part of the Four Corners region. There is something about that region of our country. There really is. There's a lot of demonic spiritual activity that really does take place in Arizona. And this is spiritual warfare, and these Kabbalists are using spiritual warfare against us. And for some reason, in the Four Corners region, which is heavily Mormon, Mormon,
yes, it is.
There is something to be said about this region of our country.
It goes back all the way to the Native Americans. They saw a lot of things happen in that area. There's a lot of stories. And even like, if anyone is ever into, UFOs and things like that, there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens over there. And it's no accident why there's strategic bases over in that area as well. And why did Jeffy Epi have where was Zorro Ranch? Where was that at?
New Mexico.
Which is over there. Yeah.
Well, and I just want to add too, like, this kind of gets to a deeper thing, which Candace kind of peeled the veil off yesterday, which is that the Judeo-Christian movement is really kind of shaping out to be a Judeo-Mormon deception of millions of Christ first Christians, right? And it's time for the average, evangelical to wake up and realize that, the church that you've been attending for the last 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 or 40 years has, in a roundabout way, been sending money or giving reverence to the same death cult that killed your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And we need to be transparent and truthful about that. And also, right, kind of going back to the point we were talking about very briefly about Turning Point Action and Tyler Boyer's kind of hand in that and what comes out of Arizona. It was interesting. I noticed there was a pipeline that began to develop where Tyler would kind of handpick people from Turning Point USA, bring them over to Turning Point Action. And now 2, 3, 4 years later, once we got Trump into office, there's now a handful of those same people that Tyler selected working in DC in the Trump administration. So, it's a very interesting pipeline that just kind of, whoever Tyler wants to have a career in DC, it can definitely kind of seem like that happens. And again, are these people actually advocating Christian conservative values, or are they being deceptive? Are they co-opting Charlie Kirk's life and movement to usher in something that is nothing of the sort? And I think that's kind of what we're in the middle of. It's why I'm speaking out now.
Yeah, I agree. And to go back on Tyler Bowyer, so the insider that I was working with after Charlie's death, the one that I made a boo-boo, guys, and she ended up getting fired because I accidentally gave her away by accident when but we're good. This individual and I are good. I'm not mentioning names. She's keeping my name out of her mouth too, but she's out there and she is doing good things right now. But she had messaged me, okay, and she said her and this other guy in TPAction are concerned. And I said, what's the concern? She said, well, after Charlie's death, a couple of the higher ups, a couple people that are working at corporate on the TPAction side are getting jobs in the Pentagon now, and they're transferring and they're moving. And I'm just like, that's the military saying, job well done. Tyler Boyer's pardon from President Trump, job well done. I mean, that's it's right there. I mean, this person was like, yeah, they're getting jobs at the Pentagon. These people that are not even qualified to work at the Pentagon. They work for a non-profit organization.
Actually, they are qualified because they're bureaucrats, and those are exactly the people the government wants.
Okay.
I'll give you that. They are loyalists. They are go along to get along. Well, it's a funny joke, but it's also like a greater point, which is like
sad though too.
They position themselves publicly as a home for free thought and independent thinkers and people who challenge the narrative. And again, look what they did to Charlie Kirk, right? They don't actually believe in that. The minute you step out of line, specifically on the issue of Zionism and Israel and the Jews, they will make sure that if you don't step in line, the rest of the people who are behind you will. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Ask yourself this. I spoke about this 2 days ago on a live, right? So for the LDS church, one of their main things, they're very mission focused, right? So men going on missions, a lot of times it wasn't as expected for young women to go. A lot of times young women would go, but a lot of times young women get married really early within the LDS church. However, as time has gone on, more and more young women are going. It's a lot more common now. But so in Israel, they agreed with Israel to have BYU there, but you know what there was terms set by Israel. You guys know what those terms were? They don't get to do any door knocking in Israel. So they agreed from a man that they won't do something that God told them to do. God told them, right? That's what they believe. They should be going on missions, spreading the gospel. So for their religion, but they're okay with allowing a man to tell them, no, not here. So like my question would be then, why would they even partner with any country and people that are asking them to do something that's literally against their religion? Yeah, it's not like a tenant, but it's like, everyone should do it within the LDS space to go on mission trips. Why would they agree to that? Unless there was something else they're getting out of that relationship in Israel. And then you look at Mitt Romney and his relationship with Netanyahu. And I don't know if you guys know how much that the LDS church, what a lot of their money goes to. It goes to weapon defense systems, like a lot of their money now. So they don't have to actually ask money from their congregants anymore. So what's his name? Nathan Apfel did this deep breakdown on them when he went on Tucker in perpetuity. So in perpetuity, just on interest alone, they're making like billions of dollars. They never would have to ask for another penny forever from any congregant forever, because of how much they're investing in all the different things that they're investing in. But a lot of their investments is in weapon systems and, Raytheon, Lockheed, and Northrop, and money that goes to Israel. So it's insane. It's deep.
It's funny talking about just Mormons in Arizona. There's Farnsworths running for office right now.
Yes. There has been for a while, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they've been in government for a minute. But again, these people, their families, they're all connected, right? It's a happy family, and obviously some of us are not inside of it and have been kept out of it intentionally. But again, it's like, why? I don't really care, but why? What are you guys hiding? I want to know.
Yeah, the Farnsworths, they've been, very good friends with Tyler Bowyer. One, they caused Terrell Farnsworth's brother. I forgot his name. I think it's Tyler Farnsworth. Actually,
yes, it's Tyler.
It's Tyler.
Yep.
He was a delegate for Arizona at the RNC in 2024. And his group and Tyler Bowyer caused a huge disturbance amongst the delegates in Arizona, specifically attacking the delegation chair who won her seat as delegate chair, rightfully so, Shelby Bush, who's the vice president of the MCRC. Now, I will say, look, like I said, there's good people in government. Shelby is wonderful. She's part of the We the People Alliance. Her and her boyfriend created this organization, We the People. They're very constitutional, very America first. And those are the people that Tyler Bowyer and these neocons will go and attack and cause disturbances, are the people that are the real America First constitutionalists. And she got in, rightfully so, won her seat, and they created a whole mess and tried to overthrow her right before the delegation. So.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, the people that seem to have taken over, there's no way that you could say, in my opinion, that there isn't nefarious things going on, because they flip like this, like that overnight. That doesn't happen naturally, right? And that's why I think you guys are right that this was something that they clearly have been like this for a long time, to switch from how they were and how they spoke. I played videos of Jack and Tyler and all these guys with Charlie they were saying one completely different thing when Charlie was there. Now Charlie's gone, and it's the total opposite. It's in complete opposition to what they were saying when Charlie was around. Like, tell me how that happens naturally without some sort of nefarious component to it.
Yeah, these are the same people who were, happy to sit in the studio with Charlie. Jack Posobiec himself kind of throwing around or agreeing at least with Charlie that Zelensky is a tranny and all this kind of baseless accusations, these baseless conspiracy theories. And now you see Blake Neff, Andrew Kolvet, Jack Posobiec, Gary Belton, and more, trying to label people who may or may not ask a question that might not be true in the answer, right? Just baseless, quote unquote. They're trying to label them enemies of the state when 12, 18 months ago, they were happy to do these things themselves while Charlie was still alive. And it gets to the root of the question, why are you now all of a sudden acting the exact opposite, right? And again, I think that even people who were present in Utah that day who were working for Turning Point USA, we haven't heard from. Like, why? What are you hiding? If Blake Neff can get out here and say whatever he wants publicly, we know that the gag order isn't in effect for people who were present, right?
Well, that's
and
100%.
So I know that the employees who were around the tent that day can talk. Why aren't they? And that to me begs a deeper. Everyone who was in Utah that day working for Turning Point USA, if you're not guilty, you're complicit, you're hiding something, right? Why are you not out here doing the same thing I am if you love Charlie Kirk? That's where I get frustrated. That's where it really hurts me. And some of the relationships I've had for 10 or more years, it's like, who are you people? What are you doing? Like, how do you not have the same questions I do? Also, why are you not even texting me back at this point? Right? It's like, this is insane what we're living through. And I truly can't fathom it a lot of times. So yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I will say too, sorry, Matt, I don't mean to cut you off, but
oh, you're good.
There was only one person fired from the TP Action side.
Who?
The person I accidentally got in trouble.
Yep.
This individual was the only one. Why? Because this individual had questions, as Meech was stating. Like, what is this? Only one. I'm going to tell you right now, on the TP Action side, Tyler Bowyer, for sure, has them all under control, under NDAs, and I'm pretty sure they are afraid of their livelihood and probably their life. So you got all these 25-year-olds scared. In my opinion, I don't know what it's like on the TP USA side. I will say they did keep it very separate. Even though it's the same organization, we really never mixed company. We would barely go to TP USA events. TP USA would barely go to TP Action events. They had to keep it very separate, and it's probably for
sometimes though when they would utilize some staff members in ways that weren't, in my opinion, compliant. They would kind of press the line and use volunteers in ways that probably aren't C4, C3 appropriate. But again, there was separation there. But again, I think there was also bleed and overlap in ways that probably weren't compliant. Again, Tyler Bowyer being the number one person, kind of double dipping. But I feel like while it was separate, there was some overlap that people don't know about too.
Yeah. Well, with Charlie gone, I mean, I would say like the reins are off Tyler Bowyer, right?
Oh, and we know Erika's not running this. We know she's.
Well, that was going to be my question, right? Do you guys think then on the Turning Point USA side, who do you think's really running the more day to day, like Andrew Kolvet?
No, Tyler and the people he's put in place, the senior directors there, such as Stacy Sheridan and Justin Strieff and these other people that spoke at the memorial. I think we saw kind of the new face of who's going to run the show at Turning Point that day,
Yeah, and so we know why like some of the lowers aren't allowed to speak out. You guys even mentioned it too, right? Like it's part of the training. Like no one's allowed to talk to the media. I mean, that doesn't preclude someone from being like able to leave, right? And I don't know, like if they're that afraid that they're even afraid to leave.
Well, exactly, and that's again, Matt, that gets to a deeper point where it's like I've talked to people who I once considered very close friends, and I mean, I was let go from my job. I offered them that job. I was like, it could be a recommendation, and they had no interest in wanting to even come out of that ecosystem, which to me,
that's interesting,
was insane, right? And that is just very suspicious to me personally. It's insane, right? Because again, if you're not involved and you're not hiding something, then you would want to get out and you would want to be able to make your story known. Or there's something else going on. You got paid. You're being forced to remain quiet. You're scared. Whatever the truth is, it matters and it needs to get out. And it's concerning to me that people who I've known for multiple years are now ignoring me outright because I'm doing what I'm doing here.
It's the NDAs.
I don't know about that because some of these people, I mean, maybe, but it's also like, again, I don't know, man.
It's a cult. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now.
I think there's also some brainwashing aspects happening too. Like I've said it before, I think that the events of 9/10 were a spiritual kind of just event in general. It was mass trauma, and then also what can happen in the aftermath of that. I don't think people are treating with enough like seriousness. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of MK Ultra going on in that organization too, and that's why it's cult-like tactics. It keeps people in, and when you go against the group, they get nasty with you too.
That's what I was talking about.
The first thing they want to do is throw that Bible right in your face. Like, I'll be praying. Like one person, not Aubrey Lash, but there's a girl Aubrey at Turning Point Action, and they're like, "We're just going to be praying for you, Matthew," and started reading me all these freaking Bible verses, and I'm just like, "You guys are brainwashed." Like this.
Well, it's funny. It was seen this week when my former editor, who I edited the FBI piece with, in the first vein said that I'm trying to attack Charlie and his legacy and tear down conservatism, and then in the next vein said pick up the mic, and it's like, do you not recognize what you just said? Like, I am picking up the mic. You just don't like what I'm saying. Right. In fact, I'm actually acting more like Charlie Kirk because I'm challenging the government narrative and I'm asking deep questions. And you guys are acting kind of like leftists who are just telling us to trust the state, much like what happened during COVID. Again, I don't know what reality you guys are living in since Charlie Kirk died, where, leftist talking points are now conservative, but like, you guys need to wake up because you're not conserving anything.
Yeah, and I agree with Matt too that, well, both of you, I think it's probably a combination of what you guys, but what both of you said, right? That there's for sure people that pretend that they are doing the right thing and they're really staying behind because they're part of the problem, right? But there's probably a handful of people there too that are scared, are under NDAs. And then there's also others that probably say that they are, and that's the reason, but aren't really, like what you were talking about, Meech. But yeah, it's hard. I wish more people would come out because as of right now, the two main people that I know, one, Turning Point Action, you, Matthew Tucciarone, and then TPUSA, you, Meech. There was one other girl that came out, but I haven't done enough about her. She went on some other podcast, but it wasn't saying good things about Charlie. So I don't know who she is. But we would.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you off because I haven't done any research, so I don't want to say, like, I just saw the thumbnail and I didn't get through the video to watch it, but I'll message it to you guys after and like we can maybe talk about it next time. But I haven't done enough to know, like, was she really there or like what everything she's saying. But back to my point is that we, the people, would benefit more from people like yourselves coming out and talking and even just giving your opinions and your perspectives of what you experienced while you were in. And just things that you notice. And that's why I thought it was so beneficial to have you both on at the same time because of so many things that already came up. Like you guys, you're giving one perspective, you're giving the Turning Point Action perspective, but it actually kind of echoes the same thing. You guys saw it from different sides, but really there's so many commonalities from what you guys did notice, being like Tyler Bowyer, his maniacal control over everything, and other bad people. What were you going to say, Matt?
I don't think I was going to say anything. I can't remember.
Bad.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. All right. But let me get through a couple of these things real quick because they're starting to stack up. All right. We got Always Be True. I'm in vacation for 2 weeks and come back to a brand new podcast. The intro is the bomb. The new studio is killing it. And you're almost at 30,000 subs. When it feels like it was yesterday, you reached 10,000. It did feel like yesterday that I reached 10,000. Yeah, I was telling people at the beginning, if you didn't see, that my brother-in-law came out and helped build this studio. So all props goes to my brother-in-law, and props goes to all of you who are part of this journey from the beginning, middle, and recently that are joining. And I appreciate all of you guys that have been part of this and believe in me and feel that I have something meaningful to contribute here. So I appreciate that. Here we got, these are those new gifts things, but I like saying it. 400 joules. It's an eagle. Jesse on fire cast doubt to the sincerity of Meech. Others took this bait, and it appears our unity has a small crack we must fix quick. All right, I'm not sure. All right, let's go on. Anna Escobar made a valid point today. They will now turn to destroy the character of Charlie in order to control the narrative of Candace. 10 joules, gold coin. Thank you. We got more marshmallow. Hi, thank you. 10 joules, floating heart. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much for the gifts. There's we got Kevery Cat with the gift. There's a lot of the gifts, the 400 joules. Thank you, Hot Patriot Mess. We got Rebecca. Yes, the text thread shows 2023. Love all three of y'all. Thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you. Oops. What did I do? There we go. Oh, I clicked the same one. That's why. All right. We got more gifts. Thank you, Thaya Shim. I'm really bad at handles. Yeah, the text show November 15th, 16th, 2023. And Ben sucks. I agree. So to the text that we were showing earlier, it does show November 15th and 16th, 2023. Brett Booth, Matt, Meech, and Tucci been dueling those bad old trolls on X. Brett is awesome, by the way. I freaking love Brett, dude. I told them to stop acting like babies and tune into the show. You guys rock. Matt, you know Brett, right?
I know Brett. Yeah, Brett's awesome. Brett was joking around with me yesterday and kind of scared me, but we're good. We're good. We're good. I'm getting used to his sense of humor.
Brett, if you're gonna tell a joke, you got to tell Matt it's a joke ahead of time or at least quickly after.
Because he's right. I mean, we've been battling these trolls this week, you know, for me since Wednesday. It's been nonstop, you know. So
Bro,
I'm not going to mention
Sunday,
or give credit or credence to any of these people.
No, I agree. Me neither.
We've been battling. It's been between you, me, and Meech. It's been a heavy week with X. A lot of people trying to discredit us. And that leads me into something else. I just want to say, look, being a whistleblower, you're a source. You know, we're a source. And it's not an easy job. You know, people came after Meech this week, like, why didn't you come out sooner? You should have came out sooner, blah, 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 blah. Well, put yourself in our shoes when you're getting threats. I mean, this week was the first week that I was told somebody on X was going to kill me this week. Okay. When you're doing this as a whistleblower, it's not an easy walk, and you have to be very careful, very, very careful on what information you give, how much information you give at once, because it is a chess game at this point. It is a mission, and we're here to give you guys the information that we have. But if we throw it out there like a loaded gun, it's going to actually backfire on us and destroy the mission. Yeah. Candace hasn't given everything out that she knows. Mitch Snow hasn't
done texts today, you know, like we just got those texts today. It's been 10 months.
Yep. What were you going to say, Matt, about Mitch Snow?
Well, Mitch Snow, same thing. He can't give, you know, everybody wants the photos from Mitch Snow and all that. Well, you know what? The photos are in good hands, okay, through very trustworthy people. And when the time is right, I'm sure those photos will be released. But we don't owe anything to anybody.
No.
We have walked this walk for a reason, and it takes a lot of strength and it takes a lot of courage to do what we do. I still can't sleep some nights. You know, Meech was very close to Charlie. I wasn't close to him. I saw him a few times at a couple events, but like I can only imagine from what Meech has experienced. Like for me, seeing my former boss get murdered on television and knowing that the very same people around him are responsible for this and the way that they were acting sucks. And it hurts because I did work my butt off out in the field to get President Trump elected and fought for this conservative movement only to get screwed over by these people, just like Charlie did. So I just want to put that out there that this week has been heavy because whistleblowers should not be attacked the way we were attacked this week.
100%.
Yeah, and I'll echo that really quickly. It's like, guys, to those of you asking why I waited so long, right? It took 2 weeks into me speaking out for me to lose my main source of financial employment, right? And I had a feeling that would happen because of the world that we live in, the political environment, but it's not right necessarily. It's not how the world should be. You shouldn't be fired for having an opinion. That's just America in general. I think we're very broken in that sense, right? But to echo Matt's point, it's not an easy job. And yeah, for me, you got to remember, this is someone who I met when I was 15 years old and then stopped working with 4 weeks before what happened in Utah, right? And so all the personal relationships that go along with the decade plus in this ecosystem, I again wanted to have grace and trust that the people who were claiming to carry on the torch were going to do exactly that. And, you know, much like Matt, I did not go to over 35, 40 colleges with Charlie recording all the debates that you guys have watched on Instagram from the comfort of your homes that ultimately shifted the tide in that election, just to merge our military with Israel, right? That's not what we worked our butts off for. And then to watch these same people every day get on Twitter, get behind Charlie's microphone, get on his studio, his stage, whatever you want to call it, and lie blatantly and attack justice while simultaneously claiming to preserve his legacy is the most damning thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. It's what fuels me. You're right, Matt. I haven't been sleeping much either, right? But I'm not tired. I am on fire to expose these demons because it is biblical levels of betrayal that we are living through right now. And it is just spiritually demonic. And again, all of these people who I expected to do the right thing, I am so disappointed in all of you because you're far closer to the situation than I am at this point. Why am I the one speaking up? Again, just a question I have for all you fine folks still employed over there.
Yeah, I'm just emailing that to myself so I can pull that up later, Matt. When you're ready, you let me know.
Okay.
I agree 100%. And, you know, you guys should be always the ones that determine when you share, what you share, if you share, right? We saw what they did to Mitch Snow, right? And it's like the exact same playbook over and over and over again. And I think it's unfair to rush to judgment. Time will tell, right? And let Matt and Meech determine what's right for their own personal lives, right? And even if like they don't share anything for a while, like same with Mitch, he hasn't either, but like that doesn't mean his story is not important, right? His personal story and what he experienced brings value to this space, and it helps us have an understanding that we wouldn't have had without that. And that's why a lot of the time when I have you guys on, like, I'm not here breaking, I'm not a journalist, you know what I mean? I'm a dude in a room with a show, and I want to have conversations with people and allow them to tell their story. And I much more have like conversations and dialogue, and I think that's just as important too, you know. And so when the time is right, you guys should be the ones to decide what you share.
It's also
when you
just
share.
like, don't invite me onto something and then immediately call my integrity into question. You know, that felt a little strange to me. I'm not going to name names, but it's like, why did we go through that whole process when again, you could have just picked up the phone and we could have chatted it out? It feels very intentional. It feels coordinated. It feels kind of like an attempt to, I don't know, discredit me, shake me off my feet, whatever. And again, I'm standing on the side of truth in Christ. I have no political kind of movement or sway in this. I have no financial backing pushing me to do this. This is just me speaking from the heart, being authentic. And again, I think that gets to the root of what we're doing here. This isn't, you know, we're not making political points. This isn't a news program. We're not breaking news. We're just having a conversation, just kind of talking about what's going on. And I think that the more we do that, the better off we'll all be, because I don't think people are talking about these issues in the right way, first and foremost, and then second off, I think we're kind of seeing the cracks begin to form on the people who are hiding the truth about what happened that day.
Yeah, if Charlie, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not breaking anything. We're sources of information that worked inside the organization that can tell you about the culture, tell you about the things that we've seen behind closed doors, and that's it. me and Meech, we're not going to be the ones to solve this investigation. We're just, I mean, but we're here to give our perspective on things that like Barron might bring up or Candace might bring up. Just like, I think I sent you the post, Matt, of like how I corroborated what Candace said about, about Tyler, right? And what Meech said about the group chat with Andrew Kolvet of discussing, debating Nick Fuentes. And then what I said back in January on Stu Peters, which was pretty much Tyler yanked my friend into her office and said, I'm a Zionist. Okay. And don't ask questions, shut the door, was very in a threatening demeanor to her. And then said Candace Owens is nothing but a black conservative. There's the race thing again, black conservative trying to stay relevant in this movement. So when Candace came out and said this week that information about Nick Fuentes, that corroborated with what Meech said. Meech released his stuff on a different day. Candace released her. We've never had a conversation with Candace. And then my stuff came out in January.
Yep.
That's all we're here for. We're not going to solve this investigation. More than likely, the person that's going to solve it is probably Candace. Hopefully.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well,
yeah.
And I also just want to say, like, even with Candace, I'm not too hopeful of getting a kind of resolution in our favor necessarily, and that's not my motivation here, right? I don't have information that's going to lead to a criminal conviction of Erika Kirk. Okay, sorry to disappoint anyone who was expecting that. What I do have, though, is perspective over 10 years alongside almost all of these people, and I can speak to the kind of people they are, their character, things that they would do on a day-to-day basis, the way in which they would, say one thing and do another. And my hope with that is to, again, kind of convince the American public, the court of public opinion, if you will, of these people's true nature, and again, kind of wake them up, so to speak, of the greater war that we're in the middle of, which is, again, spiritual first and not political. So again, the trial, yes, it's important. I want justice to be served, but I also want justice to be served. I don't want these people to just convict an innocent man to hide their conspiracy to silence what would have been the largest quote unquote anti-Semitic, just removing America and Israel's relationship, right, at a large level, that influence forever. They wanted to silence that. So I don't know. It's interesting. And I think that the more we press, the more these people will continue to backtrack on things that they've said or continue to lie, and we'll get to the truth eventually.
And I don't even know that anything Candace is able to do will result in actual charges, and because the people that would be the ones to bring those charges are the people that most likely are implicated in it.
You're expecting the same people to, hold people accountable who are probably the ones who ordered the hit. If this was the deep state, if everyone betrayed Charlie, which is kind of what it looks like right now, then yeah, we're not going to get justice. And I wouldn't be surprised if they killed Tyler Robinson before he made it to court, right? Because that would kind of wrap this whole thing up very nicely. But it does, again, it's 250. We the people. We can reflect and hold our government accountable. And we do have a legal right to make changes as given to us by God if our government is not representing us. And I think we're at that point.
We are. We're definitely, we're at that turning point.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound, I don't mean to disrespect Charlie's movement, but that's literally how I look.
Yeah.
I look at it now. I'm like, it was the turning point. It was the turning point for America. We would not be this far, I would say, into understanding what really is going on deep beneath the surface. Unfortunately, Charlie's gone because that's whether it was God's position to do this, to take him out, whatever, to bring him home. Without that happening, we would not be having these conversations. We would not be exposing Israel for who they are, Ben Shapiro, etc. We would not be questioning, are they using our Constitution right, our leaders that we have elected, our trustees as us, we the people, as the beneficiaries to the trust, which is our Constitution? No. Yeah. Unfortunately, Charlie's gone, but that was the turning point.
Well, and he always said that his death was going to, kind of spark a revolution, spark a revival, whatever the case may be. And I think that the people in his studio now are trying to walk back the impact of his death, right? And they're trying to box it up into this right versus left political crap that we walked out of 4 to 8 years ago. And in the meantime, they are also burying the spiritual war that we are now caught in the middle of, right? And that's where discernment is so important now, because these people are claiming to stand for Christ and freedom in America while actively destroying it and partnering with the same people who killed Christ. So again, it's just so blatant to me what's happening. I feel like I'm shouting from the rooftops here because, again, I get on Twitter and I see Gary Melton just rip for, I don't know, 400,000, just blatant lies. And honestly, attacking America, acting in ways that 4 or 8 years ago, these people would have said was leftist behavior.
Yeah.
So it is a time, I think, for us to all pause and reflect and truly ask, what power do we have as the people, right? Is this even our government anymore? And I think Tucker and Charlie were beginning to ask that question as far back as July of 2025, right? Well, now it's July 2026, and look what just happened with the NDAA in the House, right? We have the Senate. I have no faith in the Senate at this point. I have no faith in this government at this point, because look what they did to Charlie, the person who put them into power. Why should we trust anybody at this point?
I honestly, in my honest opinion, don't ever think, I don't think we have ever won the Revolutionary War. I think the Revolutionary War has been a continuance of all these other small wars for years, and we are the final test. This time right now, 250, to reiterate what Meech said, we are the final test. This is it for the big, great experiment of 1776.
And it's coming at a time when consciousness is almost kind of hanging in the balance. We have transhumanism, we have all these different things, and it's up to us as people, as children of God, to first and foremost choose our own humanity, choose our own freedom, choose the rights that we have been given by God first and foremost. That, again, it's not the government who gives us rights, it's God. Our rights come from our Creator, they don't come from our government. Therefore, we like the government pales in comparison to Christ the King, and we all as Americans need to remember that, and we need to start positioning ourselves and our hearts in that way, because we're too caught up in this political divide, and it's why the demons keep winning.
I mean, it's definitely a massive spiritual battle. I was listening to an X Space the other night, the person Victor Marx, and what role he played or is playing, the whole time, his connection to the IDF and the Mossad. James Cadiz, who is Erika's #1 pastor. He's the pastor of her Proclaim and the Bible in 365. And his close relationship with Erika, I think, is deeply suspect. But this guy is in my opinion, it's my opinion, and this guy's like a very evil man. I feel really bad for people in Colorado if he gets elected.
Victor Marx?
Yeah.
Dude, we should just play that video I made of him where he admits to killing multiple people. And again, he says that the people that he's killed have been to protect other countries. Again, what countries, Victor? I'd love to know what countries were being protected when you killed people.
Yeah.
That's just insane, an insane Freudian slip to me. Like what? I would understand it if you were defending America, but you specifically said other countries, sir. So was it perhaps that small country in the Middle East that
the size of Jersey?
Well, there's that, and then there's also the fact that Victor Marx was working closely with Kyle Rittenhouse back in the day, right? When Kyle was at the hands of the media machine and everyone was trying to label him guilty before he had his day in court, Victor Marx came to his defense. They started working together. They've done some nonprofit work together as well, I believe. And so it's rather interesting to me. Also, Kyle Rittenhouse's silence during this time in our nation's kind of history hour.
Charlie stuck up for him.
Charlie stuck up for Kyle. He was the only one really who went to bat for Kyle when the media machine came after him and tried to label him a certain way. So again, just in hindsight, it's so interesting. And again, even you compare what Blake Neff is now saying in regards to Candace Owens, and you go back to, I think it was 2019 with Kyle Kashiv, who was a young college kid that Charlie had kind of brought in, and some racist texts of his leaked, and immediately he was kicked out of Turning Point, had to give an apology. And now we have what Blake Neff has done this week. That's why I go back to this as an intentional managed destruction of the strongest tool that was about to unmask the deep state for what it truly is. And now all that forward progress is down the drain.
What did okay, if you can't say it, don't say it, but what did Blake say this week? That is it the conspiracy but with 2 O's?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only thing I had seen. That came directly from him. Was that a tweet?
Oh yeah, it's on his Twitter still. Yeah.
It's on his X account still.
And again, this is not the first time Blake Neff has had racist remarks.
I know.
I've
That's
tweeted them multiple times. There's a
we know
whole
why he
list
got
of them
booted
from
the
Fox.
Tucker Carlson show.
Yeah.
So
it's just it's par for the course with these demons, bro.
Hey Matt, can I read something?
Yes.
On my platform, a follower of mine, since I don't have super chats yet.
Yes.
But don't bait N1. Evil triumphs when good men do nothing. Respect these few good men in here right now. So
that's very
thank
positive.
you. It's true. It's true. I mean, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. I mean, that's what we can see at Turning Point right now, maybe with a few of those people that Meech and I no longer talk to that are coming after us, trying to discredit us. That's them right there.
Yeah. How far down is the post about Candace where he says that? Probably really far. He tweets all the time, huh?
If you're on Twitter, I can send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me in my DMs, and then I can pull it up. And then while we do that, I can get through some of these other supers. Yeah, anytime, Matt. If you have something, and same with you, Meech. If people send something, and because if one person's directing the stream, all the supers that I see come through here. So you just let me know, and then you can always read something a guest says on your guys's channel. Thank you so much, Fitz. What is it, Fitz Semper? Oh, Semper Fi, dude. What's up, dude? I'm a Marine too. Always a Marine. All right, we got Mitchell Chase. That's my father-in-law. Son, your set looks major market. Very nice. The BLB is truly a family affair, to steal the words of Sly and the Family Stone. Your subscribers and viewers are good people. Thank you. Look very mom and pop. Thank you, Dad. My brother-in-law is amazing. So, okay, Zamit. What up, Zamit? Hold it. Are you guys anti-Semitic?
No, I'm not. I am presenting logical arguments to separate America's government from the nation state of Israel and the synagogue of Satan. That does not make me an anti-Semite, and it cheapens the term anti-Semitism if you do that. Okay, just like Charlie said,
bro. If dude, like if Charlie, Candace, and Tucker get called an anti-Semite, I think that's something you wear with a badge of honor now. You know,
and dude, it's like it goes to the deeper point of like, imagine if Kanye West pre-lobotomy, whatever, Kanye West pre-Jewish involvement, Candace Owens pre-right-wing canceling thing that we're in the middle of now, and Charlie Kirk still alive. Imagine those three teaming up against Zionism. Like, that's why I say this goes back, in my opinion, to 2018 when they were at TMZ, you know, all three together talking about these kind of issues. Everyone forgets that that's how far back this goes. I think that's when the federal intelligence agencies started planting people inside of Turning Point slowly. Because again, if you do it all in 1 year, people are going to notice.
Yeah, it's obvious.
But if you start slowly dropping people in important places over 5 to 7 to 8 to 10 years, slowly you have a cult of personality built of bureaucrats. And the only person who believes the things that your company stands for is your founder. And then at that point, it's easier to silence him forever, co-opt his movement, walk it back into a neocon establishment that we're in the middle of now, than it would ever be to reconstruct the deep state. Guys, reconstructing America is not going to be easy. No, and it's far easier for these people to run the fundraisers that they are, host the events, fake, cry, and lie, than it is to reshape this country in the way it needs to be for the average American. And I think that a lot of these people are too weak to do the hard thing.
And look back now, I don't think that the falling out or the separation that happened with Kanye and Candace and Charlie was organic. How they started slandering Candace when she was speaking in the UK and tried to say she was a National Socialist. Because I don't want to say the word with the Z, and then she had to leave to try to help Charlie out because he was getting so much pressure. I don't think separating them was an accident. I think that was strategic, and I think that's a good point, Meech. You know, and the same reason why they're doing it now with like Tucker and Candace.
Yeah, and causing chaos amongst. Well, look what they tried to do to me and Meech this week.
Yeah.
So division, coming at me, saying things about Meech, coming at Meech, saying things about me. It's just like they're trying, they want to separate. That's what they did to Candace and Charlie. And on a small level, that's what they did to me and Meech this week. They're trying to cause chaos and division.
Well, and I will just point out who in this investigation is drawing the clips that Blackline and I have been for the last week, right? Who is shining the spotlight in this way in the same week that our military is merging with Israel, right?
Yeah.
And it's, again, to a deeper question of if this is all just managed chaos and smoke and mirrors, to what extent are the people who claim to be kind of seeking truth and justice doing that just to, again, give people a carrot and not get them all the way there, right? It's, to me, so apparent what's happening that I'm so shocked that I'm the only one talking about it in this way. Maybe it's because I spent so much time around Charlie, but also it's, you guys all listen to him too. It's not hard to recognize the fight that he was in the middle of on our behalf, right? And so it's been very interesting to me, just kind of what I've observed in the last kind of 2 weeks since speaking out publicly. It's why I've come back here now 3 times, because again, this feels like the only place where we're having these important conversations. And I think that's why we're seeing the response that we are. But also, I think that's why we're seeing the coordinated effort to try and discredit me when, again, I've been nothing but transparent about pretty much everything that they've thrown my way. And again, I've even gone out of my way to over-explain things, right?
Yeah.
And so it's, again, you just have to go back and listen to me.
Yeah.
And I have no reason. The things that have been thrown my way this week, it's like I laugh at it because, cool, I have a response already prepared because I said it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
You guys are just trying to generate stuff off of the fact that I'm speaking truth to power, and you don't like it, and you don't have the same 10 years of experience I do. Sorry. It's just the way it is.
And same with Matt too. Like what they were trying to do and say about Matt. I think I announced this, that we were going to do this like a week ago. I didn't put the thumbnail up till this week, but like I'd said that we were going to be doing this. And I can't help but think that that had something to do with this coordinated attack on both of you. And then it really ramped up in the last few days as we got closer. What were you going to say, Matt?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's one, I'm going to say, X is where they sow division. I mean, X is a wild, X is wild. And to speak to Meech's point, I feel so much comfortable and better once I jumped on the show tonight, because I feel like YouTube is a little bit more or less like, hey, let's have a conversation. You know, X is nuts. I mean, that is where all the infiltration is. That's where the division's being sowed. But yeah, I mean, I got labeled this week because I did not speak out enough against Israel and the Jeffy Epi stuff. And then all of a sudden, someone with a decent following and who's I thought was a decent influencer and did a great job, and I've given credit to, comes out and wants to label me just because I don't talk enough about this issue.
Yeah.
As part of the Jeffy Epi network. Yeah. I mean, without tagging me and then taking a screenshot of a video that I did and making a post without quoting my post with the video.
That's
or
not an
the full
accident.
Context of that interview that I did with Stu Peters, where it was a 2.5 hour interview. And if you listened, I actually did go hard on the Z word in Israel. But this person then says, you know, he doesn't talk enough about it. So therefore, it's kind of sus. I'm going to label him as Jeffy Epi. Like, get the hell out of here, you know?
Like, I had the same thing happen, Matt, where it was like people were asking if I had started asking questions of the people I used to work around on the AV side of things. And they're like, oh, have you asked these people about this? And in fact, I had over 6 minutes, I think, of me just levying questions and actually giving far more information than these people had. Again, it's if you had just gone back and listened to the things I've said publicly. Now, I know they're long videos. I know your guys' attention spans are kind of fried, but please do try and pay attention and keep up and listen to the words I say so I don't have to repeat myself publicly 4 times on X after you've used me and my, I don't know, story to generate some engagement. It's cheap. It's sloppy. Let's just be better than that, guys. And again, all you people just like talking in Twitter spaces aimlessly for hours on end, you guys are getting nowhere. Like, it outside of these liars, Blake Neff, Andrew Kolvet coming in, let them speak, let them run their mouths. But like these endless conspiracy theories, these endless opinions of people from I recognize why you're doing it, but like there's no end result that's going to come up that's productive. We need to elevate our national conversation to the level that we are having, I think, or we will lose this republic. And they're using these things like these spaces to do it because they think they make you think like you have a say in the conversation, you have power, right? And meanwhile, we're not stopping anything that's happening on the federal government level. So like, again, guys, we need to get loud and not just stay in our echo chambers.
Yeah. And
I agree. two things too, right? Like I wanted to say it's not a coincidence that on that week that they started bringing that up against you, Matt, and Jeffy Epi and trying to have this like correlation, and that like X spaces were popping up when we are going live, Meech, and it's labeled like Epi, Kirk, Black Line, artifacts. And it's like, what is the connection there? None.
But we're the conspiracy theorists for tracing the deep state motivation in Charlie Kirk's assassination.
When do you think that Elon Musk buying Twitter was always going to turn into what it's turned into?
I don't know. I've been weighing that one back and forth. I think Elon bent the knee personally.
At some
I
point.
think that, well, after that tweet debacle, again, everyone forgets this. Elon was taken to Israel by who?
Well, Ben was there too. Yeah.
Ben Shapiro. He was given a personal tour of the concentration camps by none other than Benjamin Shapiro. And
Re-education.
so, right, they re-educated Elon. And then after that, we've seen what's happened. I'm now getting struck for saying the same things Charlie is on X, and Elon's nowhere to be found in this conversation. Again, Elon Musk, I would love to hear from you, big dog. Please let us know where you stand. But I know where you stand, right? Because it's very clear now. That's why I played that video. I had you play that video earlier because it shows to me the greater betrayal that's taken place. Charlie went to bat for you, Elon. You know, and now you're going to sit here and not only betray Charlie, but everyone else who backed him and ultimately backed you in that process. It's clear that all of these people are just careerists. They serve themselves and the synagogue of Satan at the end of the day.
Compare like what happened. Was it Ellison? Who bought TikTok?
Yeah. Larry Ellison?
So yeah, when we saw that was purchased, we knew that Israel bought it, right? But when we saw that Elon bought X, we were hopeful, right? And even Charlie was hopeful. And
even Charlie says in that clip, he's like, even if Twitter was to get shut down today, this would be a win for free speech, which is true. But it begs the question, what was the end game here if this was always kind of the plan?
Right.
Yeah. Because
the only reason why I came over to X was because I got deplatformed on TikTok once Larry Ellison took over. You know, on the front end, it showed I had 42,000 followers, but on the back end, it showed I had 1,147,000 followers.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, so like they weren't even disclosing on the public end of how many followers I had. In TikTok, you have AI diagnostics, and I ran an analytical check one day just for the heck of it, just to see what my numbers really are. And I have screenshots of my account showing over 1 million followers with no views.
That's insane. It's like they tried this strategy, and they're still probably employing it to a large degree on TikTok, and realized that maybe it wasn't the best approach. It outed them what they were doing. I mean, people are still obviously on there. You know, there's going to be people that still use TikTok, but it's like Elon's like, we're going to do a different approach. We're just going to flood the zone, you know, with bots and with intel assets and, you know, paid shills. And they're going to go about it in a different ways. I don't know what it seems like to me.
Well, it's almost like the turning point kind of internal pacification applied to Twitter, right? To where if you can get a bunch of people such as Jack Posobiec, Gary Welt, and all these other people who have a bunch of followers, even people like Cat Turd and these anonymous kind of pro-American. Well, again, we don't even know like how real some of these people are.
True.
Half of them are faceless accounts, which to me screams like this could just be being run out of the Pentagon, right? And so if the intelligence agencies are able to convince the average Twitter user of something that's not real, then you know, what else can they convince the average American of, right? That's why I go back to this trial is poking holes in so many different areas of our system, because if they get away with what they're trying right now, they can convict anyone of anything. They can convince the American public of anything. And because looking at the video footage and the questions that surround the people that aren't answering them, it is not kind of the truth. And so it's a scary time for our nation. But I think when it comes to Twitter, again, if you had flooded Turning Point with intel assets from the jump, people would have known what that was, right? What we're in the middle of now is people who for the last 6, 7, 8 years have been claiming to advocate for free speech, for patriotism, for America, are now walking us slowly into an authoritarian regime that manages or that polices speech, that does not allow you to fully criticize your government, that punishes you for doing so, and labels you an outsider or an enemy of the state or a communist for doing those very American things that Charlie Kirk himself did. So I think it's rather deceptive and it's evil. And that's again why Elon Musk, I think, was wiggling in his seat there in that interview, because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be out here going to bat for Charlie like Charlie did for him. It's shameful, it's despicable, and these people should be tar and feathered. You know, we used to do that in this country. We don't anymore. We should.
I want to play you guys something. I played this yesterday. Hold on. It started playing before I added it to the screen. So the title here of this is Jack Posobiec, foreign paid influencers need to disclose their corrupt ties. Okay. This is Jack Posobiec acting like he is some sort of authority to tell us who is a foreign paid influencer and that they need to disclose their ties.
September 4th, 2025, just 6 days before his murder. And Rich, you know, I know you've seen this. I know you've talked about this. When you see these influence campaigns come up on X, when you see the influence of this, people have to understand it has no impact whatsoever on the electorate, does it?
It really doesn't. And I wish that lawmakers and elected officials would understand that more. Reality impacts what the electorate thinks and how they're going to vote.
Really? So it has no impact. So that's why Bibi Netanyahu said it's the new battleground. It's the new war. That's why they're paying people thousands of dollars to get out there, to say things and to do things. It means nothing, Jack. Why are you out there then? Why are you out there every day on X and on your different spaces saying and doing things, but to try to shape opinion for the public and sway them in a certain direction? This freaking guy. Oh, sorry.
Now imagine producing for him for 8 months like I did.
I don't know how you did it.
It's insane. Yeah, it's tough. It was tough.
Jack Posobiec and Ben Shapiro really get to me,
bro.
They really do. Those two guys, I swear.
Their face and their voice, it's hard.
Yeah, their face, and Jack always looks so like I just want to rip.
My wife says either he's constipated all the time or he's on drugs. We don't know. We're both. I don't know.
It looks like he got lobotomized in an MK Ultra program, and
bro, there's videos of him from a long time ago where he looks somewhat normal. You know, it's like something like somewhat normal. All right.
I mean, I will say these people do project this MK Ultra style type of the way they look, the way they talk. I mean, even when I was talking to people at TPAction up at corporate, like they're just like talking like this and like that, like they're under a spell.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I know this because I've read both of Kathy O'Brien's books. And that's somebody that like, I'm like, why hasn't anyone interviewed her yet? And her thoughts on Erika Kirk and this MK Ultra stuff. I mean, that would be somebody should get a hold of Kathy O'Brien, but she's been going on other people's shows, not talking about this subject. And the shows that she's going on are kind of sus. So and her daughter has even come out and said they turned the switch back on to Kathy.
No way.
Yeah, I've heard. That's what I've, you know.
Do you guys remember that Victor Marx would retool people? Do you remember hearing that from Corby? Retooling?
Vaguely.
Okay, so Victor Marx believes that he has the ability to see, talk to, and cast out demons out of people, right? And that he did this supposedly with Corby and his wife, and he actually did it once with Charlie, wanted to do it again, and then Charlie said no. Could you imagine like what and I was in an X space last.
Is he Catholic?
No.
So
no.
that's not a even.
Well, he believes that. Okay, so like Jesus said, right? Like everyone has the ability to do what I do. You will go out and do the same thing. He's claiming that he just has the ability to do it because Christ said that we're all going to have the ability to do it. That's what he says.
No comment.
Yeah. Okay, but my point in bringing this up is that like he clearly is close to Erika, and there is one account of him doing this retooling with Charlie, and that a second one was supposed to take place, and Charlie said no. But if he's there and he still has close connections to Erika Kirk, clearly he's part of some sort of, in my opinion, some sort of cult. I would say there's a high probability that he's probably still going to TPUSA and maybe even doing this retooling on people. And that might have something to do with a lot of this. He has deep ties to like government and other things, you know, and it's just in line what we were talking about with like MK Ultra.
Yeah, well, I think if you like look at the threat that Charlie and his organization was waging against the intelligence agencies and the establishment of democracy, America at whole, he wanted to fundamentally give this country back to the next generation. And he was very close to doing that. Donald Trump was supposed to be the one to do that, along with his friends that he trusted, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all these people I've said previously, right? The issue is the country, I don't think, could withstand that. It would fundamentally rock the boat too heavy, and the intel agencies knew that. And so what they're doing now is very deceptive, because they are taking the next generation, right? They raised people like me and Matt up to be these like radical questioners, these revolutionaries. So now the next generation, you see it in these things such as CLS and these new events that they're having. They're turning these kids into great mouthpieces for the state. It is akin to me to what we've seen in countries like North Korea and other places where they target the youth to then brainwash the next generation to make them turn on their parents. It's historically speaking, that's the time we're in. And everyone does not seem to be talking about it that way, because they're too focused on exploding mics and planes and all these other theories, when if they're able to convict this kid of this without evidence in the age of AI, and then simultaneously turn the next generation of young people into blind bureaucrats that just go along with the state, right? What part of the timeline are we in, guys? Is everyone paying attention? Like, I want you all to be aware, right? And Charlie warned us about these things, and that's why they silenced him, in my opinion.
I swear they have been, you know, they talk about communism and blah, 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 and they're against it. No, it's communism right now. What we're facing with Turning Point and them, cloaked in America First. I mean, that's what it is. This is communism.
Yeah.
And when they want to call this person and that person on the left a communist and all that, what they're doing is communist tactics. Seriously.
Gary Melton got on Twitter yesterday and accused Baron Coleman of employing communist rhetoric when he called Erika Kirk a welfare queen. Again, Ronald Reagan, the OG conservative, the founder of modern day American conservatism, was the person who tokenized that term welfare queen. He caught a lot of flack for it back in the day. And so for these people to try and rewrite history and under the guise of this trial and say that welfare queen is a communist talking point, when Ronald Reagan, of all people, was like the person who stood against communism the most, tear down this wall, is insane. You're right, Matt. These people are communists. These people are revisionists. They're acting like Bolsheviks, and they're claiming to be conservative, patriotic American Christians in the process. It's despicable. It needs to end.
100%.
Did you guys see here? I'll pull it up. I want to know if you guys know who this chick is. So hold on. Let me pull this up. Did you guys see? So Dave Smith I didn't get to watch this whole thing, but so we have Andrew Wilson. This is on Piers Morgan today. Andrew Wilson, Dave Smith, and then let me actually look at the description of who this chick is. Let's see. Does it name who they are? So this girl is the lady that said that Charlie Kirk was the head of the new Hitler Youth. Whoever this chick is. It doesn't say it. It should say it in the description. So it's my point in this is bringing up that like the very thing that they claimed Charlie was like a part of and ruling, which he wasn't, is literally what it's like turned into now that he's gone.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
it's so that's why it's double speak, man. And then these people try and label you the same thing that they are acting as. It's evil.
Yeah. What's another interesting thing in this clip is Pierce Morgan again says that Erika Kirk and Charlie's children were at UVU and watched Charlie die, and Andrew Wilson doesn't correct him. I don't know if Dave Smith would know if she wasn't there or not. We know that she wasn't there, unless they all know something we don't know, and she was somewhere in Provo, and that's what they're referencing. I don't know. But Pierce has no problem getting up there and spewing from what, as of right now, like from what the facts are right now, is a total lie, just to use her as a further, like an emotional asset to like make this worse than it is for her, right? Like, how can you be attacking Erika Kirk? She's been through enough. She was there with her children and watched her husband get assassinated. He said that. He freaking said that. And it just blows my mind. He's not the only one. A lot of other people that are on the TPUS side are saying that. Ben Shapiro, Dan Bongino, and others have said that same exact thing, that Erika Kirk was there and watched Charlie Kirk. And if you remember, there was a couple crisis actors early on that gave interviews. I forget who was the first one, and said that was early reporting that Erika and the children were there until it came out that she wasn't.
Yeah, until they backed.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It's also interesting, like, the emotional manipulation that these people are trying to weaponize against us is rather interesting, right? Because on the one hand, there are clips that exist of Charlie and Erika in the studio, and Charlie himself says, "Do I feel guilty when Erika Kirk gets hate?" He laughs it off and he says no. And Erika seems to chuckle right alongside of him and says, I'll have a steel spine by the day that I die. And so either she was fully aware of the role she was stepping into as the wife of Charlie Kirk and the threats and the potential realities that came along with that, or she wasn't. And therefore, I don't think she's fit for this role that she has now kind of stepped into as the CEO of the largest pro-American, quote unquote, conservative movement. Right. So two things cannot be true at once. Erika Kirk cannot be this strong Christian woman who was fully prepared for everything and simultaneously can't handle people asking questions, because that's what Charlie Kirk built his life on. Right. She can't have her cake and eat it too. And so therefore, it begs the deeper question of, like, did she ever love Charlie, or was this always a part of the plan? Right. And I think that, the hypothetical truths that have yet to be revealed about the changes that he may or may not have been wanting to make to his will, and other things, right? If the things about Erika's character, about her potentially being involved with Jeffy Epi or trafficking or whatever are true, then I don't think Charlie, of all people, would remain married to her, right? And so I think that there are potential realities in which she knew she was about to become, a divorcee and opted for the widow card instead. And it's a very easy role for her to step into. And again, you can't know and be married to Charlie Kirk without expecting what happened to maybe eventually happen, right? Like, he talked about it all the time, the threats he would get. So the way she's acted in the months prior just doesn't make sense if you were fully aware of those kind of realities and stepping into that role as a good-hearted Christian. And again, you're on tape laughing along with your husband about not caring when you get hate because you're married to him. Well, now that he's gone, you care. Girl, we don't buy it, and we can see right through you. So
did she say the words something about having a steel spine?
It's on my Twitter.
Yeah.
Let's play it. I memed it today. I'll send it to you right now.
Can you send it to me? Because do you guys remember what they said about her in the very beginning? Like, it was either Andrew Kolvet, Mikey
Andrew
McCoy.
Put out the line about Charlie having a steel spine. That's why I said this is so interesting. I would love to play it. Yeah, I'll send it.
Well, yes, that about him having a Superman neck of steel, spine of steel. But in the days after the assassination, they made I forget who it was, a velvet steel spine back. Do you remember them saying that? They came out and said, yes,
that's the same word that she used in this interview like years ago. I'm sending it to you right now.
Send it to me and I'll play it. They used it as a way to say that she can handle this. She has a velvet. Our followers, people in the community might know exactly what I'm referencing. It happened early on and we were like, what? Like, no one ever uses that statement. No one's ever said it like that before.
Well, she said it back in like 2021 or 2022 when they did one of their few interviews in the studio together. Actually, this was probably later, 23 or 24, because they're in the new studio then.
Okay. Remember, it takes a second. Did you send it already?
I DM'd it to you, yeah.
Through email though, right? Or no?
No,
X is fine. I can pull up X. I can pull up X. See, this is the other, you guys, this is the other very important thing, to have people like us sit down and just talk, because you'll say something that I've heard and I remember, and then I'm like, wait. They've said that before. They've said it in a different context. And there is something very valuable to just sitting down and talking about stuff, you guys. And so this is a prime example of that. All right, I'm going to pull it up. You guys can talk while I pull it up. Or don't talk.
Matt, how's the weather in Florida?
Huh?
How's the weather down in Florida?
Hot, humid.
Yeah, it's hot this
Hot
weekend.
and humid. Dry, too. We've had a very dry summer. We haven't had our afternoon thunderstorms like we usually do.
Nice.
Bro, it was nice here. So I live up in North Idaho, and it's gorgeous, right? And my brother lives in a place that's really hot. And it hasn't been hot all year. And then he flies out and it's like freaking in the hundreds while he's here. I was like, you brought the most grossest weather with you, bro. He was joking. I was like, yeah, it's funny. All right, let me pull it up. I got it. This is a good clip. I didn't, is this, all right, let me play it and then we'll talk after.
This is the edit. If you want to play the full clip, it's the quote tweet, but this is the edit I made.
All right.
Yes, do I get hate? Bring it on.
Exactly.
I'll have a velvet steel spine by the end of my life.
Bruh.
So bring it on. I have nothing to fear. A velvet steel spine. A velvet steel spine. A velvet steel spine.
You just keep replaying it.
Well, if you let it go, it then
Okay,
gets
I'll
to
let
the
it go.
Andrew clip
Okay.
where it's like, bro, you use the same rhetoric. Like, what are
Okay.
we doing?
All right.
A velvet steel spine.
A few moments later.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of loud.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't level the audio.
No,
but
you're good. You're
It was
good.
a quick meme, but yeah, it's like
Yeah.
dude, how are you gonna say this stuff on a stream like 3 or 4 years prior or 2 years prior? I don't know when that clip aired of Erika and him, and then use that same rhetoric when you're describing him. It's just weird, man. The parallels feel eerie.
What's worse is that they actually use the verbatim velvet steel spine when talking about Erika after the assassination. And someone should send it to me. I know people in here that have watched Candace and have watched the early days like September, October, November. They say that exact same thing, a velvet steel spine. And we were like, what? I've never heard a velvet steel spine before. And she said it. She said it in front of Charlie. That's so weird, bro.
Isn't that not weird, dude? That feels like, again, I said this thing yesterday where people were asking why Erika was riding in the hearse. And I said, the widow must oversee all processes of the sacrificial lamb. And it kind of feels like there's a sense in which that's true. I also don't know if this is true. I saw it floating around on X that the caskets themselves look different, like the one that she did the photo of versus the one that actually got loaded into the hearse. So it's just I don't know if that was true or not. Someone can fact check me, but again, there's just all these little things that don't add up. And then to simultaneously get us to just try and get us to bend over and accept the Fed slop government narrative when Charlie Kirk of all people told us to never do that is hilarious.
Well,
and it feels intentional again to me. This
Yeah.
feels like this was the plan all along. Right, because again, all of these people who I've known personally for over a decade, I never thought would sit quietly by as tyranny spreads under the guise of conservative Christianity, right? And it's insane to me, dude. I truly can't fathom it.
I think Mystic found it. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, it's gonna make me download it, Mystic. I don't want to mess. If there's a way that you can send it to me, you can copy and paste it without making me have to download it while I'm streaming, then I can play it. But this is why this community is amazing. I think it was Tyler Bowyer that actually said it, it seems. When she sends it to me, I'll play it. Let me get through a couple more of these super chats because I'm way behind, okay? All right. And then, Matt, you sent me something. I'm going to play that, okay?
Okay.
All right. Hopelessness, Candace Owens, E.T., all Christ is King. Wait, E.T., is it because of what's her name, Brigitte Macron? Because you guys remember the picture of E.T. dressed up with the hair, and they're saying that that's Brigitte Macron. I don't know if that's what she means by E.T. I'm bad at abbreviations. Stargazer says they are all selected, not elected. we don't matter. That's what they want us to think. And I mean, obviously to a point, it seems that way. But I mean, the more of us, as long as we know that we're not as separated and going through this alone, we do matter. We outnumber the people that rule us like a really bad number, like 100 to 1,000,000 to 1, whatever that number is.
And it gets to the deeper point of not allowing yourself to be divided and controlled, right? That's what this all comes down to.
Yeah,
they use
control
politics to
divided.
do it. They use stuff like George Floyd to do it. They're using Charlie Kirk to do it. They're trying to redefine party lines to separate us, when in reality, we all know who the enemy is. Charlie Kirk told us flat out, and they killed him for it. And so I think that the more that we distance ourselves from this two-party system that these demons are dead set on walking us back into, the stronger we'll be as good-hearted, faithful Americans.
And we talked about this, I think, on our last one, or I mentioned it, that there's a reason why when Tucker started talking about a third party, when Candace said to her audience of millions of people, I'm not voting, people shouldn't join the military right now, why this all-out attack on both of them began even more. It was already happening, obviously, but then to really challenge what's left of this two-party system, this attack like ramped up like tenfold. And I think it's because if we really did depart from this two-party system, we would have a chance at taking back our country, because voting for who they put out there is ridiculous.
Well, 100%. I mean, that's what this whole is. The whole left-right paradigm is collapsing, and that's why my channel is called Truth Over Paradigm. I'm witness to it. I've been a staunch Republican my whole life, and now half my followers are Democrats, half my followers are Republicans, and that's their biggest fear. I'm getting along with Democrats now. I never thought in a million years, even being a gay man, that I would be getting along with my fellow Democrat with Democrats. You know,
right. Yeah.
It's great. It's good to see, and that is their biggest fear. Their biggest fear is us uniting.
It gets to the deeper point of like, even us here, right? If the government was to just do its job as we elected it to, all of us, including Jack Posobiec, Ben Shapiro, all the talking heads that make money off of this system, off of our division, would have to go kick rocks and find a new job. They'd have to go put the fries in the bag, bro, because you are all working to divide us for the sake of the American, I don't know, establishment, if we want to call it that. But we've now come to learn it's not actually the American establishment. It's a foreign government who calls the shots, right? And so all these people, whether they're on Fox News or CNN, or down to the people we engage with on a smaller level on Twitter, all of these people, this whole system that operates by pretending we have a vote, pretending we have a say, pretending, you know, our voice matters. They get us to believe this crap. They get us all worked up for the vote. This whole system, the money that's behind it, more money than any of us could ever imagine. What would happen to that if Charlie and the MAGA movement got its wish, right? It would have fundamentally reshaped this country. It would have put a whole hell of a lot of people out of a job. And I don't think that the powers that be were ready to let go of that, right? It's greed ultimately that comes down to it, and they don't want to let go of their shekels.
100%. Yeah, let me get through a couple more of these, all right? And then I'm going to play what you got, Matt. I'm just behind. Thank you so much for becoming a member today, Stargazer. Mystic, thank you so much for Stargazer. Thank you for gifting 5 Black Light and Brief memberships. I appreciate you. Here we go. Slick. Meech needs a pop filter. I know he's a new caster. What's a pop filter? I don't know what that is.
On my mic. I'm working on it.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that because, that's what I texted you. Is that what makes it sound really loud when you're saying like peas and things like that? Yeah.
Our followers, trust me, they're here for us. They give good constructive criticism. Trust me.
They're looking
one of my followers once told me, like, Matt, stop talking like this. It's covering up your mouth. I'm like, okay, all right.
They said the same to me. But my problem is too, like, to have it further away, you have to have it turned up more, but then it picks up so much other noise. So I'm trying to find that perfect like medium where it's far enough away and it doesn't cover my face, but it doesn't pick up every little piece of, you know, saliva in the mouth that drives me nuts. So I can't handle it. Zamit, thank you so much. Why no Judeo-Muslim coalition? Zamit, you're on fire tonight. You're hilarious. Lux, thank you so much. Mystic, there you are. Thank you so much for the 5 Blackline Brief memberships. Here we go. Mustang, we got just contacted my senators for the first time ever. RENDAA. What does the RE stand for?
Like in reference to, like
okay.
She's in regards to. Congrats, that's awesome. We need more people to do that. Dude, follow this girl's lead and call your local reps. Make your voice heard. It's the last thing you have.
Enough of us do that. It does make a difference. My father-in-law, who used to be like a local news anchor in Palmdale, Lancaster, had told me that as well. That enough of us do it. It makes a difference.
Yeah, they have,
and they want you to feel powerless. They want you to feel like you don't have a say. That's where the manufacturing your consent comes in, right? But we all have voices. I'm using mine right now. You all have a right to use yours too, right? They haven't taken that away from us yet. They're trying to. They're redefining what it means, but we still have time. We can still call these things out for what they are. Use your voice before it's too late. Truly, like take your power back. Like, you are not powerless, and they want you to feel that way.
What were you going to say, Matt? You were going to say they have to?
Well, I mean, at the look, yes. Once they get pressured so much, there's nothing, because look, it's 1% of them to us.
Right.
Like, once your voice is, you use your voice, there's nothing they can do. I mean, look, how I started this whole game of getting involved in politics was when I took a stance for the mask mandates in Sedona, Arizona. Okay. I went in with 15 people in a grocery store. I'm the one that ends up going to jail because I had the loudest voice. But you know what? After I got out of jail overnight for standing up for the mask mandates, we bombarded city council. We went to every meeting, me and my group, every meeting. The town was in an uproar. You know, I was on the front page newspaper because of it. 2 weeks later, the city manager told the mayor at a city council meeting, you know what, Mayor Sandy, we've been getting a lot of pressure lately from our locals. And I do think, she's like, the numbers are down. I do think we need to lift this mask mandate. You just do it. Somebody might go to jail overnight. Okay. That might happen. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. Okay. But when you do take a stand, they got to listen to you, because they'd rather keep the peace than have a bunch of people down at City Hall.
Yeah.
Making demands.
Yeah, that's not a good look, right?
We employed them, everybody. We elected them. We employed them. We have more power than what we realize, and that's what they're afraid of, is people realizing the power that we do have, given from God.
Yeah, I think Charlie doing what he did through his platform and mobilizing as many people as he did to get out and vote kind of proves that, you know, and that without enough people getting out and doing what, you know, we know is the right thing to, well, I mean, it's sad what we thought was the right thing to do, but in this context, moving forward, what the right thing to do is, we actually can make a difference. So, all right.
I think it cuts to, oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You say it first and then I'll read it.
Oh, it's just cuts to the deeper question of, like, you know, we all, including Charlie, above all, trusted this government to do what we elected them to. And, you know, it's par for the course. Every government says one thing and does another when they're running, right? But this feels fundamentally different. Like, these people sold us one side of the story and they're doing the exact opposite, whether it's the war in Iran, the Epstein files, the list goes on the deep state alone, right? All of these people were in on it, and apparently they've been in on it from the start, right? So what does that mean for us, the people? Are we going to just roll over and take it, or are we going to take our power back? Are we going to make our voices heard, right? And that's more than at the ballot box, because we've learned now that voting doesn't really change anything, right? So how do we begin to, you know, cry out to Christ the King and take our power back and our rights back that are given to us by God, not government? Again, as Matt said, we elected these people. We also pay these people's salaries via taxes.
Yes.
So y'all work for us, and I think you guys have kind of misunderstood the relationship here, right? It's like an abusive relationship. It's like, let me try and redefine the grounds of this relationship. You've been abusing us for 60 years here. We're gonna say enough is enough eventually, you know, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to make ourselves and our interests secure, because that's how it's supposed to be.
Right. And you know, like, I'm going to go into a little bit of trust law real quick, but like this is what I ran my platform on when I ran for public office in Arizona, was really being a constitutionalist and explaining to people exactly what the Constitution is without reading all the amendments and all that boring fluff, is that we the people are the grantors of this trust indenture that we've created, and we granted these trustees the authority to carry out our will. That's exactly what the Constitution stands for. And also, being a grantor, we are also the beneficiaries in benefit to that trust, because in trust law, you can wear multiple hats, and you only become a trustee when you're an elected official to carry out the trust indenture. That's it. Just wanted to give a little different perspective on how to look at the Constitution without throwing in all the amendments and all that stuff. Okay. It's a simple guide that was given to us to use. It's a tool, and it's a simple tool.
And
if
it's
we
up to
apply-
us to decide when that time is. It's not the government's. It's we
Right.
the people's decision, because God gave us these rights. The government does not give us these rights. And it's up to we the people to determine when and if our government is no longer representing we the people. And I think, well, with what we've seen from this administration, it's time to have a national conversation, because it seems that now when you criticize your government and you say, hey, you're not doing the things we elected you to, you get labeled an anti-American, communist, leftist who wants to destroy America. No, sir. In fact, quite the opposite. I want to preserve America because I elected you to do one thing and you're doing the other. That's not how this system is supposed to work fundamentally and philosophically. You guys have broken that deal that we are engaged in, and therefore we the people have a right to do something about it.
Yeah.
We can revoke the trust anytime we want. We don't know how to, because
We don't feel as though we are empowered to, because again, they have convinced us that government gives us these rights, when in fact these rights come from Christ, who is king above this world.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can get back to super chats now. I just want to get that out
No,
there.
no,
It's
you're good.
important.
You're
People
good.
are missing
Always.
the
Yes.
bigger picture, and it's important.
No, you're good, man. This is from Jim Carrey, and I love it. It's Matt, Tucci, and Meech are the dream team. Fight the X-Trolls. That's what we're doing, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Stargazer, for the 10 jewels. We got Stargazer. Thank you for the 10 Black Line Brief memberships. Here we go. Cavery Cat. I really appreciate you guys. I think it's extremely important for your voices to keep being shared. We must amplify them. See, thank you so much. The majority of the community does feel the same way as you guys do. I would say it's a large minority that's saying those other things. Keep Meech and Tucci in your prayers. Psalm 91. 100%. There's like legitimate people doing nasty things, and then there's also like spiritual warfare. I don't know about you guys, but like there was just a lot of stress leading up to tonight's show. I don't know if you felt that. I felt it. Matt, Meech and I prayed right before we went on, before you had hopped on, Matt, and I'm glad you were able to make it. And I don't know, I felt it. I felt it this week. So.
I appreciate it, y'all. In some aspect, I was having, I was trying to get things set up, and then, just the things that were going on in X this week, I was having a hard time making it to the show tonight. I was. Yeah. I'll be honest with everybody. And I got to give a shout out to Mystic, and I appreciate you, Mystic, for sending me a text tonight and non-judgmental at all, whether a decision I made, whether to do the show or not. You were right there and cared. And so I just want to give a shout out to Mystic.
She's a real one for sure. Yeah, we love Mystic. Okay, I read that one. Next one we got Cavery Cat. Please, both of you, find out how to set up the dead man switch thing Mitch and Candace did. That is what can keep you safe. Okay. Foxy, I can't say some of these. I'm so bad. NorCal Chick. Oh, NorCal Chick. See, dude, I'm so bad at this. Great show. Loving the new studio and enjoying this group of great people. I'm happy to watch Matt and BLB grow by the week. Thank you so much. Renita, we got keep Meech and Matt in your prayers. They are quite literally risking their livelihood and potentially their lives. Support and protect them at all costs. Thank you, Meech and Tucci. Much love. When she said Matt the first time, she's talking about you, by the way.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys are risking your lives.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You guys are risking your lives.
Yes.
You know?
Thank
Yeah.
you, Renita.
Yeah.
God bless.
Thank you for becoming a member today, Kay Peters. And then we got Mystic. Here we go. Matt, the chat is asking for Tucci and Meech to share how folks can follow and support them. Mods will post their links in the chat. All right, Meech, go first, and then Matt, you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can find me on X at Artifacts Memoir, ARTIFEXMEMOR. If you take that and also go to artifactsmemoir.com, you'll find links to my Rumble page and also an option to support me there as well. Working on getting some of the back end stuff built out on the website front so I can start hosting pre-orders for the book, and we'll get some merch going as well soon for White Goy Summer. But outside of that, just artifactsmemoir.com for now, and YouTube and Twitter would be great.
Yeah, and Mystic's going to post it in the chat for everyone. And for you, Matt?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Tucciarone 2026. It's TUCCIARONE 2026. And then you can find me on YouTube at Top Truther, and the name of my channel is Truth Over Paradigm with the handle Top Truther, TOP Truther. And that's where you can find me. I'm going to start doing lives and stuff and getting back on my channel. But I was on TikTok. I mean, you can go over to TikTok if you want to see some of my older content. And that's Top Truther on TikTok as well, but I ain't on there anymore, guys.
Most people aren't.
No, it's sad. It's
a Zionist controlled propaganda machine.
Yep.
Stay off TikTok, folks.
Yep. And if you want to email me, it's truthoverparadigm@gmail.com for questions.
Oh yeah, I have Artifacts Memoir at Gmail as well. Feel free to send me anything. I'm happy to look at whatever.
There we go. Thank you, guys. Here we go. Jessica Cat, thank you so much. I'm almost done, and then we're going to keep going. I'll do the rest at the end, okay? Stop using Marxist language like racist or anti-Semitic. These are made-up words for dividing and conquering. We need to take our language back. Agreed, like 100%.
Based.
Anti-satanic. There we go.
Based.
Oh my gosh, Zamet, you're on one tonight. Holy smokes. Paula, remember what Barron said. They don't care whether it's positive or negative engagement on X. They love it all. Fight on your knees first. God gives both wisdom and rest.
Amen.
Amen.
For those of you that didn't get it right, it's anti-satanic.
Zamet, if you don't follow me on X by now, I would love to DM you, bro. You're hilarious.
I don't even know if Zamet is on X.
Oh, well, then sub me on YouTube. This is so funny.
Zamet is the best. All right, well, let me get through a couple more, and then we're going to hop on to what we were doing next. Thank you guys so much for these gifts. I appreciate it. All right, and then I'll do the rest later. All right. Meech, you sent me this, right? The map?
Yeah, it's just interesting, right? I saw that on Instagram the other day. It was like how much money your state sends to Israel, and I think that just given the conversation we've been having, it's nice for people to be aware of, right? It's good information. I don't know when those numbers were pulled or where they're from, right? But I think that they can't be too far off, and it's pretty insane. I just ask, how much of that money would it take to fix the housing crisis in America? How much of that money would it take to, I don't know, actually do the mass deportations we were promised? There's a lot of things that money I think could be better used for. $17 billion is a lot of money. And again, why are we giving it to a country that has free healthcare for all of its citizens from birth to death, on top of the multitude of other luxuries that the Israeli people get that we, the Americans, subsidize every day?
Look at the four top ones. California's is in first place, 2.8 billion. And then we have a second place tie between Texas and New York at 1.4 billion. And then a close third is Florida at 1.3 billion, where Randy Fine is. All right. And then Matt, I'm going to pull up the one you sent me. I think it's this one. Yeah, I got it. All right. 1 second. It's an X post, right? Matt,
yeah, I sent you an X post, and then I sent you, that one.
This is the one you want to see first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Should you just read my post so they can have a background on what this video is? Because the video cuts into validating my post, I believe.
Yeah. Let me make it small and read the actual post. All right. So it says, I worked on a project with TPUSA and Turning Point Action regional manager Robert Wallace in Fountain Hills, Arizona. He showed me his stash of white substance. I don't know how much I can say these substances on here. The different, drugs right here, they're listed at his home. This is who they elevate. Ran for Senate. What's LD3?
LD3 is Legislative District 3. So that covers the Fountain Hills area. And he just ran for Senate this year, and he lost, obviously, to Senator Kavanaugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the debate clip, you can see him in his library. I've been in that library, and it's full of children's books. Okay, 41-year-old with no kids. He claims bathroom spirits, believes he's a reincarnated black, what is it, gangbanger?
Yes.
Really? Oh my goodness.
He does.
And was in the Church of Scientology. TPUSA is getting weird, y'all. Okay. It's a clip. Hopefully he doesn't say anything too crazy. Am I good to play it?
Yep.
All right.
Created a website highlighting some of your YouTube videos in which you talk about some pretty out there ideas like lizard people and interdimensional travel. Tell voters who don't believe in lizard people why they should take you seriously.
The existence of interdimensional life. I've had some experiences of very odd, weird nature in my past, like bathroom spirits. Let's start there. Lizard people.
He has some really bizarre beliefs. If you sit on the toilet for extended periods of time, bathroom spirits will appear to you. Then he said that he is a reincarnated black gangbanger.
That's just a fact. And for me,
it's created a website highlighting.
Did he say that's a fact? Is that what he said? That's a fact?
Yes. And
what are they giving these people?
This is, look, guys, this is not just Turning Point. This is the epitome of Arizona politics. It is wild. And I will say, look, I spent a week at his house working on this project. Okay. A project that Tyler Bowyer knew about, that all the TPUSA people knew about as well. Robert is connected to them through Gays Against Groomers. Robert is the podcaster for Gays Against Groomers. He's had Roger Stone on his show, etc. Robert told me these things specifically. Yes, he has told me as well that he is a reincarnated black gangbanger and was shot up in his past in the 1960s or some shit like that. Excuse my French. And that he's reincarnated now to bridge, I don't know, it's just weird esoteric stuff. He's involved. He was a member of the Church of Scientology. All right. He said he's no longer a member of the Church of Scientology, but he is the regional manager for the Fountain Hills region for Chase the Vote for Turning Point Action. He and I both wanted to work for TP Action again after my contract was up. I never got back into TP Action. I'm thank God every day that TP Action actually snubbed me after I worked for them the first round. But how it happened was Robert stole my idea, America First Mayors, which was an organization that was going to do grassroots level stuff to get real America First mayors into our cities and townships, because that's where the corruption really starts. So everyone wanted to focus on the bigger picture, which is the national level, the federal government. And I thought bringing this idea with somebody who I know from DC flew into Arizona to help me launch this. and it was endorsed by Sheriff Joe Arpaio as well. Robert made a few phone calls to Turning Point Action, including Tyler Bowyer. Next thing you know, his husband, who was our finance guy who registered the business, left me out as founder and CEO and labeled Robert as the founder and CEO and registered it through the Secretary of State. Well, before they did that to me, because I knew what was happening, I ended up trademarking America First Mayors. So what Robert did is highly illegal, but this is what they did. He told Tyler Bowyer my idea, and next thing you know, they ripped it from me. That's exactly what they did to me. And this is who's working for Turning Point currently. And I'm shocked that with his embarrassment with Senator Kavanaugh, that Turning Point is even keeping him employed, but there's got to be a deeper reasoning to that. And that has to be Robert's ties to Scientology and everything. Because the Mormon Mafia and Scientology, they all believe in this esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Robert, he's humiliating himself, and it looks like it's being done on purpose, because come on, nobody humiliates themselves like that in public. I mean, running for public office.
People love their humiliation rituals. Let's not forget that.
Exactly. And now he's running. Now that he lost the primary this week, he just threw his hat in the race to run for school board of Fountain Hills. With all those children books, guys, in the background. And he had also confessed to me, too, that he was a 32nd degree Mason working on his 33rd degree. So hence, there's the humiliation, guys.
Did you know that, I forget who it was. It was Andrew or Blake or Jack referenced that Gays Against Groomers had something to do with Tyler Robinson in Utah.
It was probably Poso, because he likes to talk about them a lot.
Yeah, he brought it up as possibly being part of who radicalized him and or Twigs. He brought it up, and so now this guy actually speaks for them, or does a podcast for them.
He's the host of the Dark Side of the Rainbow podcast, which is trademarked by Gays Against Groomers. And I know one of the former managers, regional chapter leads for Gays Against Groomers. This individual follows me. This individual is no longer part of Gays Against Groomers because of all that bad stuff and because of Robert. She said Robert would always show up just messed up on every single kind of drug you can name it. And she's like, and we're supposed to be going out here helping children, and this is what the organization stands for. They're all in bed with one another, and they're all, it's crazy too that
gross.
Sobek would, that's what's confusing is I don't know how Robert is still working for Turning Point. If Jack's going out there talking about how bad Gays Against Groomers are, like, it just, none of this makes sense to me. And I just want to bring it to the public eye of how confused I even am of all this stuff. It just, none of this makes sense. It's kind of like the Liz Harris thing, where the RNC National Committee woman of Arizona stated that Charlie and all them were being controlled by Mossad, but yet now 2 years later, she's working for Tyler Bowyer because people are being controlled. I guarantee they have Liz Harris's life is on the line due to Tyler Bowyer. I'm sure Roberts is. I mean, he's tied to the Freemasons in the Church of Scientology, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Is he supposedly Christian though? Is he running as a Republican?
He's running as a Republican. He has an esoteric belief of Jesus Christ. He doesn't have like your true traditional Christian belief in Christ. He went to the metaphysical school in Sedona, Arizona to get his master's degree. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, Sedona, Arizona has a lot of weird stuff going on.
It's the New Age capital of America.
What was that?
It's the New Age capital of America.
It is. It's the New Age capital of America. It is.
Yeah.
And a lot of CIA and FBI agents, they retire in Sedona. It's the retirement capital for intel agencies.
You guys know that guy? I think it's Thomas. No, freaking what was his name? Aquina. The guy with the eyebrows and the church of he was in the Air Force. He was on the board and he's got the eyebrows.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I just don't know his name, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually know his name too. I can't. It doesn't ring a bell, but he's also affiliated with Turning Point.
Yeah,
as well, or was.
Yeah,
at some point.
Like an early
that
board
guy reminds
member,
me.
right? Yeah.
And that guy reminds me of him, his mannerisms, how he talks. But it just shows you the type of people that they have either employed or formerly employed. It just it begs a whole bunch of questions. You know, what are we actually looking at? Matt, did you want me to play the other ones that you had sent me, or did you say no to those?
I think did you ever play the one where Erika was standing on the pedestal?
I wanted to play that one. Okay, cool. I did want to play that one.
Okay, so this
Mikey.
guy's, let me give you some context. So this is actually raw footage from the insider that was feeding me information post Charlie's death. And she was at AmFest in a private staff meeting that Erika held for the TP Action side. And she sent me this video because it disturbed her, and I think you'll realize why it disturbed her once Matt plays it.
Yeah.
So
all right, let me pull it up. Yes, here we go. Cool. Oh, hold on. I got to share it to screen because I exited out that last one without sharing. Sorry, guys. My bad. I got it.
I don't know if I've seen this one, so I'm excited to raw react to it.
It is. I think I don't remember playing it ever, but I think I remember.
No, not that one. Yeah, I sent you a raw video. This one says some words that I don't want, like bad language, that will probably get you a strike. So
I think that's the one that you sent me where it's like the beginning. It's like the carpet. It's like facing the ground. The beginning of the video before it starts.
Yeah, that's the raw. That's the raw one I was going to send you.
It wouldn't let me just play it. It did that thing where it's making me download it. Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull it up. I wish there was a way. When I tried to just copy, let me see if I downloaded it and it's actually in my. It didn't go into my videos when I hit the download of it button. And when I just grab it to copy, and then put it in my email, it comes up as like an attachment where, like, here, I'll try it again. And you guys are much more tech savvy than me, so we'll see if it's going to mess it up when I go to click. Yeah, it's not letting me do it right now. Oh, it's because it's an MOV.
Okay, Matt, you can play it.
Just I stop it at a certain point.
Yeah, just stop it when I start doing and mocking Mikey.
Okay. All right. So because the bad language is at the end.
I mean, I'll
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
President. And it's crazy to look back and you just kind of see the Lord kind of knitting his own beautiful image that sometimes we just don't always see. But we're blessed to be here for the second staff meeting at AmFest this year.
Oh. Yeah,
there we go.
That was a TikTok video. So do you all see she's standing on a coffee table? I call it a pedestal. Okay.
Yeah.
She's in glitz and glamour. They're at a private staff meeting, and Mikey's just sitting there like, you know, you're here at the staff meeting, Erika, and it's just interesting how God has weaved you into this movement. Like, it's okay. Like Charlie's gone, but we're, you know, the second coming of Erika Kirk is like what God wanted. Like, and this is, and you see Stu mentioned this, like when you see Mikey kind of does this, he jolts forward as she's like, you know, we're happy to see you here. He's nervous. Stu used to be a bounty hunter. He can read body language. And that body language was, is Mikey nervous? He better say the right things in front of the demonic princess of the synagogue of Satan, pretty much.
Kind of how it feels, bro, honestly. As someone who knew Mikey, like, yeah, that's how it felt to me too.
That's so interesting.
So I mean, and she's up there, and like, she's elevated. She's on a coffee table. They're all staring up at her like this. Like the next thing I'm waiting for is grapes to be fed to the whore of Babylon, because that's what Erika represents right now.
Yeah.
The whole Babylonian system, it's coming back, and it is a system. It's not a place, it's a system.
Correct.
And Erika Kirk is a prime example of a biblical whore.
Well, she's a part of that system, the same one that's connected to Jeffy Epi that goes all the way back to the Rothschilds, right? That's why I say this is a spiritual war. This is not political. They're using politics as the front, because these same people, the same group that pressured the Romans into killing Christ, are the same people that pressured whoever into doing what they did to Charlie Kirk and then feeding you some Fed slop narrative after the fact, right? The parallels are too clear to ignore. And the more that we listen to these feds online telling us to trust the narrative, the more we're going to allow ourselves to be deceived. That's why I say discernment is the most important thing that we have right now. And it's time all of us as Christians stop plugging into the political slop and instead plug into our own Bibles and fall to our knees and pray and cry out to God, because I don't think enough Christian conservatives do that on a daily basis, myself included.
Yeah.
And then Matt, I sent you one more on DM on X.
On X? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull it up. And then
that's it. That's all I have for tonight.
All right. Yeah, and then I'll wrap up with the super chats, and then we'll end. We're at 3 hours. So Matt, there you are. All right. Okay, the one at Candace.
Yeah, so you all know that Erika Kirk has made her family and Charlie's family and people who attended the funeral, not the memorial, but the actual Catholic mass, and sign NDAs.
Yes.
Highly suspicious.
Oh wait,
so
let me read your post before I make the screen big and play what she says. I'll read what you wrote first, right? It says Candace Owens reports of Erika's NDAs forced on family and attendees at Charlie Kirk's Catholic mass, his funeral. Parents still silent. Same playbook as Witch's widow, or Twitch's widow, or is that a misprint?
Yeah, no, Twitch is a rapper. Yeah.
Okay, Twitch's widow. When you stack the sudden control of the organization, the narrative lockdown, and the optics, it's starting to look like a full biblical whore situation. Questions aren't going away. Charlie's parents handled. Oh, question mark. Yeah, by Stacy, right? I mean, that's kind of what some of us have seen. All right, let me play.
Charlie's actual Catholic mass burial, which was the day before the memorial event, that Erika made her own family members and everyone present sign NDAs. That's what I was told. And similarly, the same thing was done here. And this is what Twitch's family told Gayle King on CBS. Take a listen.
We were, trying to figure out what we were going to do or what she wanted to do in terms of plans. And then I got a phone call saying, we need you guys to sign non-disclosure agreements. And we were like, why? What's going on? What is this for?
In the modern world, political power doesn't just come from Washington, D.C. It comes from media companies, influencer organizations, big donors, and the people who control the narrative. Organizations like TPUSA, influencers like Erika Kirk, Miss Erika Franzfey, James O'Keefe, and others have built massive political influence, not by being elected, but by controlling attention, media, and the narrative. So in this episode, I want to ask a question that might make people uncomfortable. Are we fighting corruption and propaganda, or are we watching a new version of Babylon being built right in front of us? You can decide for yourself. Most people believe politics is left versus right. But what if that entire paradigm is designed to keep you enslaved to the system?
That it is true that
That was cool, Matt.
Yeah.
That was a cool video.
Yeah, I want to do more videos like that for people on YouTube. You know, they're obviously pre-recorded.
Yeah.
And I'm no production specialist, but self-taught. And it
Better
takes a
than what
lot
I
of
could
time.
do.
Guys, when I did that episode, when I did that pre-recorded documentary style podcast, it took me 5 days just with the production, the editing. I'm one man, you know, I'm not using the right software either, but I made it work.
Yeah.
I wish I can do that right now, but until I grow a little bit more and maybe get a producer, I can start doing stuff like that. But it's a lot of work. It is.
100%.
Yo,
We can't all be like Meech.
I don't want to interrupt, but like the White House Correspondents' Dinner was tonight, and Trump is now openly saying, quote, "I won 3 times, now I'm going to do it again." He's like, again, so when people call me crazy for being like they're trying to get you to, you know, give your consent to this illegitimate government, you can like these conservatives can say it's just Donald Trump being funny. Again, he seems pretty dead set on doing this. Why should we believe anything he says or doesn't say when everything he said to get into office the first time was a lie, right? And I sent it to you, Matt. If you want to play it right now, we can.
Is it on
less
X?
than a minute. Yeah, it's on X.
Okay.
It's from C-SPAN directly. And now I'm watching accounts like National Revival I just put out a quote tweet kind of trying to tear him down, but like these people are blindly, you know, making Trump seem like this alt-right kind of edgy fascist, like, oh, you know, Trump's going to run again. And it's like, that would be cool if he did anything akin to what a fascist, you know, America First person should do. He's simultaneously selling out our nation to Israel and our military, right? And so it's very deceptive what's happening from conservatives, quote unquote. I don't like calling them that anymore because I don't think they're conserving anything, but it's really interesting. And I just saw that kind of scrolling. I know we're wrapping, but we can end on that note and just kind of let people think about that as they go to bed tonight, because it's
For sure.
pretty concerning to me. And this is someone who, again, I voted for Trump 3 times. I did 5 rallies for the president. I toured with Charlie, and it's like, this is not okay. This is not American.
No, not at
And
all.
keep in mind, remember, Adelson gave him $150 million, and she says in front of everyone and the cameras, run for a 3rd term. You can do it. I'll give you another 150.
Because the Greater Israel Project is linked back to what I'm writing my book on. It's the idea of never again. Well, how do we ensure never again? We do what they did to us. You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery. And it truly feels like that's kind of what they're trying to do right now. So yeah, let's watch this. And again, let's all just pray tonight, because this is truly the most anti-American rhetoric that a president has ever said, in my opinion. And it's being just blindly applauded by mindless conservatives who can't unplug from the Fed slop. It's like, guys, wake up.
It's insane.
Here we are. I mean, here we are. In fact, when I'm finished, I'm going right back to the Oval Office. So I have to be doing okay. But we are all doing good together. That's why tonight, to show just how much I care about the press, and I want to save your ratings, I'm pleased to announce my intention to, and this is somewhat of a scoop, my intention to run for a 4th term as president of the United States.
What are we
doing? I will
doing?
be doing that. I will be having
What
an
are we
official.
doing?
In fact, I think I have.
I don't think he's kidding. What are we
I
doing?
won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it
He's
again.
dead ass. He's dead ass, bro.
Thank
Like
you.
what? I don't know if it's a joke or not, but like, why should we believe anything?
President. No, I won 3 times. Did very well the 2nd time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. Here we are.
What?
So it's like, how are we, the American people, supposed to take that, right? When we all believed that you were going to make America great again and reshape this country, you said one thing and did another. Now you're saying one thing. How are we to know? Like nothing you say means anything. How are we to know? Is this a joke? Is this not? I'm petrified by this kind of rhetoric. I'm not trying to be alarmist or anything, but it's like, this is not what America was fundamentally, you know, built on at all. It's a time for us to pause, reflect, and pray, I think.
Well, here's the thing. If this does happen and he pulls this off, let's just say hypothetically he pulls this off.
He could though, right? Because look at the institutional support he has. He has the media support. Everyone on the right, I feel like, would back him. Who wouldn't? They took out the leading kind of guy who would challenge this dude. Everyone else fell in line. So I feel like it's not unfathomable when everyone who's in a position to challenge the administration hasn't up until this point. This is a very big issue that people are not really taking seriously, I feel like.
You want to finish what you're saying, Matt?
Oh, no, I mean, at that point, like if he pulls this off, it's rigged. It's just it's like right in your face. But at the same time, like this can't happen. This has got to put people in an uproar. I mean, America First patriots out there, like we can't let this happen, people. We just can't.
It didn't seem like he was joking to me.
That sounded very serious.
No, I'm sorry. Know. When he busts out a new hat.
Yeah.
That's on the tone that I'm proud doing that. Like that's Trump. That's serious Trump.
2020 it was keep America great. And then he went back to make America great again for 2024. And he always busts out a new hat. This is his thing. When he busts out a new hat, guys, I believe he's really being serious. And that is a very scary thing.
Seen the hat. He's been giving these hats out to people for months now. I've seen him teasing it on
Wait,
Twitter.
The Trump 2028 hats?
Yeah.
He has?
There have been leaked photos. I'm fairly certain. You can fact check me, but a couple months back, I saw these photos or these hats being given out to members of the administration, the cabinet, whatever. Trump 2028, and at first I was like, haha, that's a fun little like knick-knack. No, tonight, like you heard how quiet that room is, bro. I don't know if anyone knows whether or not this man is joking at this point.
Yeah, nobody laughed.
And the fact that Miriam Adelson is now suggesting he runs for a third term, that to me screams like they want an Israeli dictatorship that's masquerading as America First. And again, that's the problem, is all of these people online now are going to turn around and try and sell you this idea that giving Donald Trump this third term of power is somehow putting America first, when we know deep down we're all serving Israel first. Look at the map we just pulled up. Why are we giving $17 billion or more to Israelis? It just doesn't make sense.
But if then is 2020 going to be solved? Like, was that a big just farce as well? Like,
well, but
because it has to be solved in order for him to run for
2020 is an interesting thing, because they're trying to say that it was like communists and Chinese engaging in election interference, when I think that is, again, all just kind of a smoke and mirrors thing, when we know the companies who make the voting machines kind of trace back to Israel, right? So it's like, it's one of these things that they're trying. It's like the same thing they're doing with Tyler Robinson. They're trying to manufacture a crisis that doesn't exist, when the reality is right in front of our faces. We just have to follow the money and the companies, and it's right there. They just don't want us talking about it because it would disrupt their whole system. That's why they had to silence Charlie Kirk. It all goes back to them.
Well, and I think they've been trying to get us to have a civil war, and so I think they had to have Trump lose in 2020 for a reason, also to allow Harris and Biden to get in and push, because they push certain laws, they do certain things under left Democratic administrations, and then the pendulum swings and then it's extreme, so then they got to pass while they have the 4 years and they have the control. But also it's like they were trying to see, like, okay, if we do this also in 2020, maybe we can start like a little mini, like a civil war. And like they almost did. They had all those feds that were there, right? But then they also use that as a means to clamp down on conservative Christian Republicans after, right? All the people that got prosecuted for being there. And when all of the feds that were there, just go home. It seems like him losing wasn't really that he lost legitimately, that it was actually part of a bigger plan, which was from when he came on in 2015, and everything since then has been a playbook to get us to where we are today, and to get us to where we are with the war in Iran and with Israel. And then Charlie was butting up against that, and he was speaking out against that, and he posed a significant risk. Charlie would have said, bro, you can't run for a third term. Shut up, bro. What are you talking about?
Well,
that's so un-American. What are you talking about?
It was then it's what I've been thinking of this whole entire time, ever since Charlie passed, was like, it's all been orchestrated. Yes. 2020 was an orchestrated. Yes. Trump knew to allow Biden to come in so that he can do that thing, divide the left from the right. Then then the right gets back in on 2024, and we're even more divided as a country.
Yep.
It's all been orchestrated.
Yes.
And I saw this put out on Twitter the other day. It's an interesting thing to just kind of mull over. It's if, they are trying, the powers that be are trying to get us to go to a civil war. There's always been the question of would the military turn on the American people? Well, if our military is now merging with Israel's,
yes, it would.
The Israeli government, I don't think, has the same military directives when it comes to American citizens that the American military does. So food for thought there. If this directive does pass and we do come to a point of national crisis and our military is aligned with a foreign government, at what point does that foreign government have the right to kill American citizens? Right. Again, is anyone in Washington asking these questions? I haven't heard it. Maybe I'm not paying close enough attention. It seems like that should be talked about. So I don't know. It's frightening. And think about that, right? Because again, that's always been my thing is if we come to a civil war, the military, that's going to be a big issue. But if Israel has troops in America, that becomes a whole different ballgame, ladies and gentlemen. A whole different game of cards. At that point, we don't have to worry about the Russians coming. We've invited them over already. They're already inside, right? So it's an interesting one to sleep on for sure.
It is foreign influence. It is Israel. A friend of mine in DC, the one who can't really speak out, sent me something today, email wise. The Jewish Museum in Philadelphia is going to be taken over by the Smithsonian, and they're moving it to the National Mall. So there you go. The rewriting of history. Literally, they've infiltrated now the Smithsonian, and a Republican senator is pushing for it and putting it on the House floor.
It's interesting. One of my favorite museums that used to exist in DC was called the Newseum, and it was a temporary installation. And I went when I was a senior in high school, and it was really interesting because it kind of presented the world through the lens of journalism and talked about how media can be weaponized and propaganda can be used. And they shut it down, I believe, in 2021 or 2020. And I really wish that place still existed because even as a young high schooler, I was able to kind of recognize the degree to which we're able to be manipulated by things like the media and propaganda. And I feel like, with how much media we're exposed to on a daily basis, people forget that a lot of it is just meant to, condition you into giving your consent into things that you actually didn't vote for or give your consent to.
Andrew, Kolvet, and Blake 2 days ago did a thing on this Smithsonian thing. I didn't watch it because so much of their stuff is propaganda when it's not them just out there lying. Those are the two sides of the coin they are engaging in these days. It's straight up propaganda and just straight up lies or simultaneously. But I'm going to go back and watch that. I wonder what they're pushing in regards to that.
This person sent me an email. This individual is very analytical. She's worked on the Reagan administration. She's been a speechwriter. She even worked for Bill Gates once. And, she's like, I'm tired of working for people that screw our country over. She comes to find out, she keeps waking up in little parts. She's still holding on to Trump a little bit, but unfortunately playing the game in DC is something you have to really do in order to keep your life and livelihood. Unfortunately. But there are people waking up. There are people waking up. I will give some comfort to the viewers tonight. People in Trump's camp are waking up to his bullshit right now, okay? But they don't know what to do. They can't do anything because their lives are at stake. So it's unfortunate. It really is the level of where we're at right now in this country. But I'll send you I'll redact her name.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, let me get through these and then we'll wrap things up. All right. Thank you, Hot Patriot Mess, for the gift, the jewels. Thank you. And then we got Box Cowfish, Gay Democrat, praying for you all three. Oh, thank you. Because I pray for truth. God is truth. Fear is a lie. Lies will always crumble under God. 100%. 100%. Mitch is on First Live. You said the New World Order 2030. Oh yeah, you were on our First Live. You said something about the New World Order 2030. I don't know what that is, and Google wasn't helpful. Can you explain?
Well, yeah, there's a reason Google isn't helpful. It's because they don't want you knowing what it is. You can try looking up the World Economic Forum along with that search. Pretty much 2030 is the target year for the powers that be, such as the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and a couple other of these global unelected councils.
Council on Foreign Relations.
Pushing humanity towards a reset, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
It began in 2020 with COVID, and the last 5 years have been a part of that. I think what we're living through right now is another step in that ladder, right? Getting us towards this end goal. But, you know, Donald Trump had acted initially as if he was standing against the globalists and was going to pull America out of the New World Order and all this kind of stuff, when now we're realizing he's actually walking us into this New World Order. And so there's a reason it's hard to find, because it's been labeled a conspiracy theory when, again, they're telling us that this is what they're going to do to us. But it's not pretty. It involves a lot of people dying, right? Bill Gates thinks that the Earth is overpopulated, and they want to reduce that population pretty drastically. And they've been pretty transparent and open about that. So it's not a conspiracy theory for me to say these things. Like I said before, I'll say it again. They want to do what they did to Charlie to you. They want you dead. They view you as goyim. That's why I'm wearing my anti-goy slap shirt, because they view you as slaves. They view you as cattle. They view you as I don't know, dispensable at the end of the day, and a means to an end, which is their own power and control and money at the end of the day. So
100%.
Yeah.
Mitch gave me a hard out at 10:30. You got to go, Mitch?
I can stay on for a little bit more. You can get through super chats. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. We only have like 2 left anyway. What
Can
were you
I
going to say, Matt?
one more thing? Yeah.
Yes.
So people are also calling it the 2030 agenda.
That's what I was going to ask. Agenda 2030. Is that the same thing?
Pretty much. Yeah. It has everything to do. Yeah. The next thing to come is the World Economic Forum. Like that is the next big thing to hit. And, you know, just like having casual conversation with one of my best friends from high school, when I moved back to Florida, she had mentioned to me, she goes, Matt, I'm not political or anything, but I have gotten a lot more spiritual, godly, you know, I go to church now and everything. And she's like, we got she said, we got about a good maybe 6 years. And I said, no, we got a good 4 years. Come 2030, it's done. We're not going to, it's over with at that point. And it's coming. And everybody out there really feel in your hearts, you know, something is off. We have a good 4 years. And just like Jesus said, get your house in order. We have 4 years, y'all. We have 4 years to get our houses in order to prepare for what's coming. And this isn't to scare people, because it's been written. It needs to happen in order to bring out the kingdom of Christ, pretty much. So
that's freaking deep.
Not trying to scare people. It's just reality. It's reality.
He's right.
Yeah. Okay. Paula P4 P70. That Erika video made me think of King Nebi, like King Nebuchadnezzar in the Old Testament, that built an idol and made everyone worship him. Spoiler alert. Erika should know it didn't go well for King Nebi. It sure didn't.
I feel like Erika uses the Bible as a means to emotionally manipulate people and doesn't
100
actually use it as a book to live her life off of. Personally, but
100%. They're all doing that. I mean, whether that be like Dana Laish and all the people using scripture.
Oh, the one who I think was most apparent was Ali Beth Stuckey, man.
Yes.
That girl's shameless with it.
Yes. Lori Cardoza Moore did it directly to Charlie. And then she filmed a TikTok or Instagram calling Charlie out, which ended up outing her because she used the same language that was in the tweet or the text messages that we didn't know who it was. And we were like, aha, it is you.
They're not so bright either.
No. I mean, or they're just brazen because like it's been so long before anyone has ever held them accountable for the things they said and done that they're like, what you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
You know. Okay, that was the last super chat. I'm gonna play some Charlie Kirk clips with everyone. If you guys can say or go. It's up to you guys.
I'm gonna peace out. I'm fading.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you gave me the heart out at 10:30, and then I'm gonna continue to like engage with some of the people in my community.
We will pick this up where we left off in the future. This is just the beginning, man.
So.
Yeah.
No, I had a good time.
It was nice talking to you as well. It's like our first time having a long form conversation. So
yeah, no, we've only been texting. That's about as much conversing we've done. So it was good to finally get on a show with you, Meech, and get to know you a little bit more. And you know, this is it, guys. This is what we have to do. We have to unite. Plain and simple. Get your house in order.
Yeah.
2030 is coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what Meech just shared with the Trump thing today, that should really tell you that everything we're talking about and how we're ending the show tonight, get your house in order.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Yeah.
So, all right.
God bless you all. Have a great white boy summer. We will. I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.
Bye, dude.
All right. I'm gonna peace out too, Matt.
All right.
I'll call you. I don't know, tomorrow. Let's talk.
Yeah. We'll catch up.
I love you guys. God bless. Stay vigilant out there and keep the faith, everybody. Take care.
Bye, man. All right, you guys. Now it's just you and me. Wow, the video looks different now that I'm all close. All right, let me pull up something. Thank you guys so much for staying with us. We're at, I haven't said this the whole time. If you guys haven't done so already, please do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe. It is the best way to help support this channel, and I really do appreciate it, okay? Let's see. We always have to end with Charlie Kirk. All right. That is the whole reason why we're here. He is what we need to focus on. All right. Let me see. Share. Bing. Oh, I'm going to have to add it to the screen. 1 second. There we go. Here we go.
For people who just want to debate more. And
Yeah. So debate less and read more. So you got to read at least 100 books a year. Okay. 100 books a year. If you aren't reading 100 books a year, you're not serious about your intellectual journey. You might say that's too many. You can listen to them too, right? Spend less money on booze, alcohol, drugs, and nightclubs, and more money on audiobooks.
Okay.
Your life will be better. Trust me. I try to be a living example of that. I try to read 100, 120 books a year. I'm always listening to stuff, always reading stuff. I don't remember it all, but I remember a fair amount of it, and it just creates you into a happier, deeper, wiser person. And the more you dedicate yourself to reading, debating will become easier.
What would your
Yep. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Let me share. Let me make it big.
The reason you'd want to register the guns is if you want to confiscate them.
Yes.
Well, or to make sure that people like officers of law are protected and know what they're going into. I mean,
that's a good argument,
right?
To your credit, I will try to make a better argument where the problem of the government knowing where every gun is would then lead itself towards mass confiscation. And I would agree with you, a well-armed citizenry is the greatest protectorate of liberty and freedom in this country.
Even though the Army has things like drones and tanks and things like that outarm, citizens that have
yes and no.
just a
I
handgun.
mean, we've seen it in several instances where at least a citizen, that's a good argument, but I would say a little flawed, where the citizens are able to protect themselves in some ways. It's a much harder population to control. The only
100%. And advanced technology doesn't always result in a war. I mean, look at Iraq and Afghanistan. So it doesn't always mean that they're going to win just because they have tanks and drones and stuff. So, and that doesn't mean you don't try. That doesn't mean you give it up because they might have more sophisticated technology and machinery or weapons of war. We don't give up that right to bear arms. Period. It's the only thing that really sets us apart.
In your own propaganda in the Constitution on your brainwash tour, having the explanations here because you don't believe the reader is smart enough to understand the language is kind of propaganda.
Well, no. So do you know who that audience is for?
For people who can't read it.
Yeah, that's a Constitution for third graders.
Yeah. Why are you handing it out to college students?
Let's test your knowledge. Don't open it up.
Right.
What is the 10th Amendment?
Okay,
let's get easier. What's the 4th Amendment?
Isn't that the No Quartering Act?
No, that's the 3rd Amendment. How many articles are there in the U.S. Constitution?
There's 8 articles.
7.
7.
What is Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution?
I just want to ask.
No, but I'm just saying, you came here, guns a-blazing. Yeah. You do not know more than a 3rd grader about the U.S. Constitution.
You don't see the article.
Yeah, I actually know it. You should keep it.
I was just going to.
These people that tried to come up and have a gotcha with Charlie Kirk ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna
Sweet
happen.
person. But can you tell me what a woman is?
A woman? I mean, a woman is someone who identifies with femininity.
No.
So just let's pause. That's not a definition. That's like saying a cup is a thing that looks like a cup.
It's circular reasoning.
So you got to give me a definition, not just, you cannot use the term in your answer.
Yeah, you can't point to it.
Well, I have trouble with that because, I mean,
Because that's what they're told to say. They're told that that is the definition.
I don't define anything. I don't think that.
Oh no.
So are you a woman?
I am a woman.
You just defined something.
Oh,
You just said, I don't define things, and you went on to just define yourself. So you contradicted
No, I'm
yourself.
saying I don't make the definition of something just because I say something is one
Right.
thing.
No, I'm not
doesn't mean
asking
that
you to
that's-
make it up. I'm asking you to observe it. Right. So I don't care what everyone's opinion is. I care what is.
Okay, well, I gave you my definition and then you didn't like it. So,
Well, because it wasn't a definition.
oh.
You seem like a sweet.
Oh man. It's just, you can't make it up. All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much for your love and support. I appreciate all of you guys so much. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like. Also, please hit the subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you guys would, after the video posts, you can write a comment for me underneath the video. It helps the algorithm. You can also hype the video for free. It's a button you push, you hype it. It's free. Those are the free ways to help support this channel. And it really does make a difference. So, yeah, I think I covered everything. Did I get to everything, you guys? I did. There's no supers in waiting. All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much. God bless you guys. I love you guys. I'll see you guys here tomorrow. I have videos that I had pulled up that we didn't get to. And so we will have a show tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless. Take care. Christ is King. Love you guys.